Hello and good evening, and welcome to this surprise class of economy. There is some issue in the server from the backend. I have talked to the backend team. They are trying to fix it. So I think in 5 minutes everyone will be able to join. So we will just start in 5 minutes. Till then, let's just wait for the server issue to get resolved. There is some issue from the backend. They are fixing it. I have already spoken to them. Can you guys see and hear me? Is there any issue in the voice or video for you people who are already here? Very good evening to all of you. All right, but I think a lot of people have not been able to join, so we will just wait for them to join and then we'll start. All right. आपको बता देता हूँ, although I will have to repeat this when everyone is able to join, that I'm going to give you a surprise today. And as a teacher, there is only one surprise that is possible in an offline class, and I'm sure you all know what that is, and that is a test. So today we will be doing a test of. There will be a test of 47 questions. All of them previous year questions. All of them are previous year questions, and these are questions that are from three topics mainly: from inflation, from the concept of money, and the concept of monetary policy. I told you that when we were reading these concepts, मैंने आपको बताया था कि बहुत ज़्यादा a lot of questions have come from these. I told you when we were reading these that many questions have appeared from these three topics. These three topics, when we started also, I told you that these three topics are very important for the prelims, and since they are very important for the prelims, they are fairly asked a lot of times. So this is 47 questions in 10 years. So approximately 5 questions per year are coming from this topic. Of course, this also includes, like I have promised you earlier, this also includes questions not only from the civil services prelims. It includes questions from civil services prelims, CAPF, CDS, and some questions from EPFO also. So this sum of questions is actually there. Yeah, I know there is some issue in the server. We will just wait for that to get resolved. We'll just wait for that issue to get resolved. It will take 5 minutes. The backend tech team who control our app and website, we have told them they are trying to get it resolved. Server issues are something that happens to the biggest organizations of the world. If it can happen to Google, if it can happen to Instagram, it can happen to us, right? We are just trying to get it fixed as much as possible. I think within 10 minutes the issue should get resolved. So we'll just wait for 10 minutes, है ना? 10 मिनट wait कर लेते हैं, 10 मिनट बाद start कर लेंगे, right? So we just wait. I know a lot of people have not been able to join. We were also getting some messages on that. We just wait for 10 minutes and I think that should be fixed in 10 minutes. From the app, there should be no issue. From the app, there should be no issue. From this, there is some issue. We will fix that. Tomorrow, there is no class. Of course, tomorrow you have a different test. Right? Tomorrow, there is a different test. Now, they are fixing the issue. Don't worry. They are fixing the issue. Now, before मैं कुछ पढ़ा नहीं रहा हूँ आपको अभी. I am not teaching you anything till this issue gets resolved, because of course it does not make sense that a lot of people are unable to join. It's not fair for me to teach in this time, you know. Now, somebody asked me in the chat yesterday, or I don't know, maybe somebody has also asked me this in person. Why do I wear these badges, right? And I don't wear them every day, but some days I will wear them, right? So there is a concept called the cookie jar. Okay, there is a concept called cookie jar. It's a self-help concept. I read about it in a book, and this is something you can use in your own life, right? So there will obviously be times when you feel slightly overwhelmed by life, when there are too many things happening, like it is happening in my life right now. Interview wale bhi hain. I have to obviously handle my YouTube channel also. I have to teach this class. For teaching this class, I have to study also. Too many things are happening at once. At this time, it is very normal to feel overwhelmed. I am very overwhelmed. I'm not sleeping properly. There's a lot of work, etc., etc., etc. So at this time, and this time will come in the life of every aspirant, it will come in the life of every person actually, whether you are working in some private sector organization or in the government, or when you are an aspirant right now. Maybe right now you will not feel this, but when you are close to the prelims, let's say, or when the prelims is 20 days away, prelims is 10 days away, mains is 20 days away, you will feel this sort of overwhelming thing, that there is too much to do and too little time. And at this time, it is very normal for us to feel overwhelmed. It is happens to the best of us. So at this time, one very good technique that you can use is to tell yourself that you are capable. Right? It is ultimately, it's only self assurance. आपका ही stress है, आपका ही काम है, आपको ही करना है. Right? Nobody else is going to come and help you. Ultimately, it is you who is going to do all the work. Now, however, when we tell ourselves that we are confident, when we tell ourselves that we are doing well, when we tell ourselves that we are capable, it generally improves our outcomes and makes it easier for us to perform better. Now, this making it easier for us to perform better, this concept comes, or this concept of cookie jar is related to this. So, cookie jar is what? Basically, you create a jar. Basically, you create a hypothetical jar. It's not a actual jar. You create a jar and you write down all the things that you like about yourself or your achievements. Whatever achievements you have had, they can be personal achievements, professional achievements, familial achievements, whatever sort of achievements you have, you write all of them here, right? And then you keep this page somewhere in your room or on your table. You can pin it on your table, etc., etc. And then whenever you are in this situation, when you are feeling this overwhelmed, that there is so much work to do, there is so much effort to do, etc., there is so many things are happening, maybe I'll be able to do it or not, you just look at this again. And once you look at this, it doesn't matter how big or small these achievements are, right? They can be as simple as I am a good son to my parents. They can be as complicated as I am the CEO of a $1 billion company, right? But you look at these achievements, and once you look at these achievements, you will understand that you are the one who has, performed all of these achievements. आप ही perform करके आए हो सारी achievements. Now, if you have performed all of these achievements, you can also handle the current situation. So basically, you are telling yourself that if you were able to do all of this, you will also be able to do this. It is just a reinforcing technique. You are positively reinforcing your own self by telling yourself that you have confidence on yourself because you have all these achievements, and because you have confidence on yourself, you will be able to handle the current situation also. So these two batches are actually simply my cookie jar. They are part of my cookie jar. This is from Labasna. This small batch is from Labasna, and the big one is of course the Indian flag. Now these represent to me the fact that I have cleared this exam. I wear this when I feel overwhelmed, to tell myself that these are the badges that I carry, and if I was able to get through that, I will be able to get through this time also. So I don't wear them always. When I'm wearing this, now you guys know the secret about me. Whenever I'm wearing this, it is a direct indicator that I am overwhelmed and feeling a little underconfident. And this is just to tell myself that I know it is a tough time, but I'll be able to get over it. Similarly, you can use these concepts in your life also. When you are working hard and there's a lot to do, remind yourself of all the things that you have done in your life. If you were able to do all these things in your life, you will be able to do this also. That is the simple idea, right? That is the simple idea, that you were able to do all of this, therefore you will be able to do all of this also, right? I'll just wait for 5 more minutes. Actually, I'll just go and ask in the office if the issue is resolved. Please be here. Even if the issue is not resolved, we will carry out this class. ये class हम करेंगे ही करेंगे. Otherwise, everyone else will be able to look at this class in a recorded format, right? So if the issue is resolved, I'll just go and ask. Even if it is not resolved, we will have this class. Okay, just hold on. Yeah, I know the server issue is still on. I know it's still there. So there is some issue with the server at the backend. I don't know when this issue will get resolved. I have no idea. They're saying it will get done in 10 minutes, but 10 minutes might mean 10 minutes incrementally. It might be a geometric progression of 10 minutes. So the thing is, the recording of this class will not be lost. So if someone is unable to join or someone is watching this class later, today's class, I am not going to teach a lot. It is merely going to be a test. I'm going to teach for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then we are going to have a test. The test is going to be of approximately 50 questions. It's a big test. In case you were unable to join this class and you are now watching this recorded, watch the reading part similarly. The way I was, the part where I'm teaching, that is anyway similar to a recording. When you are attempting the test or when you are watching this recorded, you're watching the test part, please solve it as if you are solving the paper. Don't skip the parts. Recording हो सकता है 1.5x पे देखो. I speak a little bit slower when I'm in the class so that everyone can understand. Recording जो आप teaching वाले part की 1.5x पे देखो, it's not a problem. The test part, don't look at it at 1.5x simply because that part you should attend and attempt the test yourself as if it was an actual test, right? Okay. So till yesterday we have done most of the tools of monetary policy, but some small things are left. Some small things from these notes are also left. We'll just look at those small things, nothing more. Right? We were looking at this yesterday. This is exactly what we have studied. We started with money supply. Right? We started with money supply yesterday. We saw that money supply is based on money multiplier and M naught. M naught basically depends on the high powered money that the RBI decides to print. And then there are tools of monetary policy. There are quantitative tools and there are qualitative tools. Now, based on what this tool is affecting, there can be an impact on M, which is money multiplier, and there can be an effect on M naught, which is simply the high powered money which is in the RBI's liabilities. Now, let's talk now of quantitative tools. We have studied this yesterday, open market operations. We have studied the concept of cash reserve ratio, CRR. Then we understood the concept of net demand and time liabilities of this. Then we also studied the effect it is going to have on monetary policy and money supply. Then we studied SLR, the types of assets that are there in SLR. All of this we have studied yesterday. Liquidity adjustment facility we have studied. Now, this is one thing that was left over from yesterday. I thought, although it's not a big deal, I'm sure you have read most of this yesterday, but we'll just look at this topic also. The topic here is, we were reading something called repo rate. In the repo rate, what was happening? Government securities were being used in a sale and purchase transaction for the banks to arrange some funds. In the case of a liquidity crunch, banks were using this repo option to purchase and sell their government securities to RBI in a designated way so that they can get some extra liquidity. Basically, through the repo rate, the RBI is issuing a simple loan to banks. This loan is secured loan. What is the meaning of secured loan? Secured means there is some collateral that is backing this loan. Secured simply means there is some collateral that is backing this loan. And what was the collateral here? In this case, it was government securities. Yes, this much I'm sure we studied yesterday. I'm sure you're aware of this. You know this from yesterday now. Now, earlier before 2008, actually, RBI used to lend unsecured loans to banks for a long period. Look at the difference now. Today the loans are secured, and today the loans are for a short period. This is the case today, right? But earlier RBI used to lend secured loans to banks, unsecured loans to banks for a long period. Today the loans are secured by government securities for a short period, somewhere around 15 days. Earlier there were unsecured loans for long periods. This thing has actually been discontinued since 2008. 2008 से पहले ये होता था. इस टाइप के लोन था where bank is getting from RBI a loan for a long time with no security or collateral. This type of loan earlier was given at an interest rate called the bank rate. RBI will still charge interest here. Earlier this interest was known as bank rate, but now this bank rate is usually not used for any such purpose. No, you have not missed anything if you are joining recently. I have not taught anything till now. I know there was an issue in the app. I will just wait for some more minutes. I have not taught anything. मैंने कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ाया. I know there was an issue. I was not teaching anything. I was just talking randomly. I think now I can figure out the issue has resolved. You don't need to worry. Somebody is saying, sir, management is poor. Before you make statements like this, think about the fact that even Instagram faces server issues. Instagram is a billion-dollar corporation, multi-billion dollar corporation of Facebook, and their only job is to maintain their technology. Still they face server issues. We are not even a billion-dollar corporation. We are not a primarily tech organization. हमारा काम tech का नहीं है. Tech is merely facilitating our core job. इसमें it is natural that we will face server issues at some time. The point is, you should not face any sort of trouble because of that. That we can ensure, right? इसमें क्या है? I'll still wait. I haven't taught anything yet. I did not teach anything yet because I knew there was this issue. मैंने कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ाया अभी तक. I was just randomly giving ज्ञान. Randomly giving ज्ञान is the easiest thing, है ना? Randomly giving ज्ञान is the easiest thing. उसमें कुछ पढ़ाना नहीं पड़ता ना मुझे पढ़ना है ना आपको पढ़ना है. दोनों को we just have to talk. Very easy to do. This is difficult job. This here I have to study, you have to study. You will see a lot of people are running their coaching institutes simply on their ability to give random ज्ञान. नाम नहीं लूंगा मैं किसी का. It's not like I don't have that ability. I don't think that sort of time wasting is mandated or I'm adding any value to your life. If I'm not adding value to your life, then why am I here? Right? I understand there is a server issue. I will just wait. I have not taught anything. Even if I taught something, there is a recording available. Today is mainly a test class. You have not missed anything. Okay. I will just write here. ताकि जो late join करे. Actually, what we will do is we will start at 4:30. Till then, I'm sure almost everyone will join. Okay. I hope now it's fine. We will. It's 4:20. I will start in 10 minutes at 4:30. Okay. We will just start in 10 minutes. I hope till then even more people will be able to join, so server issue will be resolved. We'll just start at 4:30, and anyone who joins late can just look at this. Okay, all right. Hello and good evening. Welcome. I hope you are able to join. Server issue tha, so I hadn't taught anything yet. I hope now you are able to join this class. I hope you are able to see and hear me. Still, the recording is there. So, in case there is an issue, you don't need to worry. Yeah, there might be an issue on laptop. If there is an issue on laptop, please see the recording. Okay. So app se join kar lo yaar. Just join through the app if it's not working on the web, no? Array, there is a server issue. The recording will be available. Okay. Anyway, chalo, let's start. Start karte. Yesterday we were seeing the concept of repo rate. In repo rate, what was happening? What was happening in repo rate? That banks were getting loans from the RBI for short term and they were paying an interest. This interest was the repo rate. This we have studied yesterday. Right? Now, in this case, the loans were one, short term. Two, there was a collateral involved. There was a collateral involved. What was the collateral involved here? Government securities were involved as collateral. Basically, government bonds were involved. Government bonds were involved as collateral. Yesterday, we have seen this. Now, this is how it currently works. Before 2008, there was another feature that the RBI had, which it now does not have. Before 2008, RBI also used to lend unsecured loans. Unsecured loans meaning no government securities were required to secure this loan to banks for a long period. So opposite to repo rate, that was short. This is now a long period. Long period can be for about 1 year, right? This sort of loan was given by the RBI to banks earlier, before 2008. The interest that was charged at this time was known as the bank rate, simply called bank rate. The interest rate that banks have to pay, it was called bank rate. Now the point is, this has now been retired. It is no longer there. It is no longer there in the RBI's list of features that it offers to banks. So it's not a problem. We just need to know what it was. We don't need to go into the technicalities because since 2008 it has been discontinued. But you will see this term bank rate being used a lot of times. That is why you should know the meaning of this word bank rate. That's all. And this was there in the handwritten notes. I was assuming most of you would have read, but I thought I'll just explain it again. Now, yesterday we were studying tools of monetary policy. We had seen the quantitative tools. In the quantitative tools, we had seen marginal standing facility also. Now, today we are going to start with qualitative tools of monetary policy. Qualitative tools. We will not read these in detail because these will anyway come in detail when we read banking. We will just get an idea of what qualitative tools are. By definition, what should be the meaning of qualitative tools? By definition, the meaning of qualitative tools is that their effects cannot be measured. Right? How were banks impacting the money supply? Money supply in any economy was equal to money multiplier into high-powered money created by RBI. How were the banks impacting it? They were impacting it through money multiplier. Right? Bank's job is not to create M naught. Bank's job was mainly to have impact on money multiplier. Correct? Now, since bank's job was mainly to have impact on money multiplier, let us consider one more variable. Let's consider one more variable. Consider that a bank is lending to entities that are involved in the tech business versus banks are lending to people who are involved in the construction business or who are construction workers. Bank is, or just for example, let's say farmers. Banks are lending to farmers versus banks are lending to tech businesses. In which case will the money multiplier be more? In which case there will be more money multiplier? In which case will there be more money multiplier? सोच के बताना. Money multiplier depends on banking habit. If I will keep my money in the banks, right? Money multiplier, as we have seen earlier, is inversely proportional to the currency deposit ratio. This also relationship we have seen. In which case there will be more money multiplier? Obviously, people who are working in the tech business are much more likely to keep their money as deposits. Other than these people, farmers are much more likely to keep it in cash. If farmers are likely to keep it in cash, here the currency deposit ratio will be fairly high. So in this case, the money multiplier will be lower. In this case, currency deposit ratio will be low. Money multiplier will be higher. Right? Simple. So that means depending on which sector you are lending to, there is a differential impact on the money multiplier. So money multiplier also depends on the sectors, the sector to which the banks are lending. We had seen money multiplier at a broad countrywide level. We have seen it at the countrywide level because CDR we had assumed is same at one level for the entire country. But of course, there will be variations. I might be more willing to keep my money as cash. You might be more willing to keep your money as deposits. Therefore, the money multiplier impacts every sector differently. Right? Now, can this effect be measured? Can I measure what will be the money multiplier here? No, because it is a behavioral factor, very difficult to measure. Right? So RBI through its quantitative tools, quantitative measurable tools can impact the money multiplier. Right? Quantitative tools, money multiplier at the overall economy level, RBI can implement or change or impact. Right? But RBI might have some qualitative tools also, which will also impact money multiplier, but I cannot measure this effect. This is the meaning of the word qualitative tool. Qualitative tools cannot be measured in effect. For example, let's say the RBI governor, the honorable governor of the RBI, comes to Axis Bank in a conference and says to the Axis Bank, please loan more money to farmers. It is your responsibility as bankers, as heads of financial institutions to give more loans to farmers, because that will increase the penetration of loans in our country, because that will give farmers access to credit. Now, can I measure the impact of this speech? How many people will agree? How many will not? How many will be listening to him? How many will be sleeping? पता है आपको लोग जब इंडिया में स्पीच सुनते हैं तो क्या होता है? How many might be sleeping also? So can I measure the impact? No. But will it have an impact? Yes. It will have an impact. I cannot measure this impact. मैं नहीं measure कर सकता कि इसका impact क्या होगा, but it will definitely have some impact. This is the first qualitative tool of monetary policy known as moral suasion. Moral suasion. Suasion word comes from the word persuasion. RBI is saying that we will use our persuasion based on some moral factors to influence the behavior of the bank. This will definitely lead to some change in the money multiplier, but I don't know what. Right? For example, RBI instructs banks to stop making aggressive bets against the rupee. RBI to nudge banks to pass on rate cut to borrowers. RBI is requesting bank. RBI is saying, please do this. What is the meaning of this second article we will see today? This second article will become clear to you today in about 10-20 minutes. But I cannot measure this effect. This is the first tool called moral suasion. Then, let's say RBI comes out with a guideline. RBI comes out with a guideline all banks must give 10% loans to farmers. RBI says to banks, 10% of all your loans must go to farmers. RBI comes up with a guideline that no person will get a loan of more than 1 crore. Right? Now, RBI says 10% loans to farmers must be given. Right? Or no person will get a loan more than 1 crore. Can the effects of these two decisions be implied or measured as far as money multiplier is concerned? Will I be able to measure their effects? Will I be able to measure these effects on money multiplier? Can I measure this? Again, no. Right? This concept of the RBI is called credit rationing. Now, the word rationing is clear to you. So this should also be clear. A system of distributing credit. Credit rationing. 10% loans must be given to farmers. This is the example of positive credit rationing. That rationing is a distribution system, nothing else. Some of these loans must positively go to farmers. Second example is nobody will get a loan more than 1 crore. Negative credit rationing. That I will not be able to get a loan more than 1 crore. Credit rationing is another qualitative monetary policy tool that you can positively impose some conditions that you must give this much to farmers, must give this much to, let's say, small industries, and nobody will get a loan more than 1 crore. This is also there. Right? How will you measure their impact on money multiplier? For this, you will need to know the currency deposit ratio of farmers. How will you find that out? उनकी behavioral tendencies find करना बहुत मुश्किल है कि इसमें से कितने farmers CDR क्या रखेंगे. Money multiplier we have read is inversely proportional to CDR. This is another way of a qualitative tool. It will have an impact. How much impact it will have, I cannot measure. Then there is another thing. Let's say some bank does not agree to this. RBI has given these guidelines, but bank does not agree to this. Bank says, नहीं, हम नहीं मानते इसको. हम तो अपने सारे लोन्स 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा देंगे और अपने सारे लोन्स डॉक्टर्स को देंगे. We will not give it to farmers. What will RBI do? RBI will take some penal action. RBI will take some direct action against this bank. ठीक है? Seeing that RBI has taken this direct action, RBI ने direct action ले लिया बैंक के against. ये देख के बाकी banks who were not agreeing to these conditions, there can be many banks who are not agreeing to these conditions. Seeing that RBI has taken direct action against one bank, other banks might also change their lending practices. Will this change of lending practices have an impact on money multiplier? Yes or no? एक बैंक ये नहीं मान रहा था, आरबीआई ने कहा कि we will take action against you. ये देख के बाकी बैंक्स ने भी ये मानना शुरू कर दिया. Will this have an impact on money multiplier? Of course it will have an impact. Can I measure this impact? Can I measure this impact? No. I cannot measure this impact. मैं कैसे measure करूं कि क्या money multiplier पे effect है, कितना माने, 10% दिया, 12% दिया, right? We don't know this. So this is another two tools of qualitative monetary policy. One here is credit rationing. Credit rationing can be both positive and negative. The other is direct action by RBI. Direct action by RBI. Both of these will have an impact on money multiplier, so they do become a tool of money supply. M is equal to MS into M naught. Sorry. MS is equal to M into M naught. All of these actions will have an impact on this, but I cannot measure this impact. Since I cannot measure this impact will also not be measurable. Therefore, it becomes a qualitative tool. It will have an impact, but I can't measure the impact. So it becomes a qualitative tool of monetary policy. So if I look at qualitative tools, one is direct action, one is credit rationing. Credit rationing can be done in positive terms and in negative terms. Positive means you must give this much loan to these people. Negative means you cannot give more loans than this. Right? Now, credit rationing, one of the most common ways of positive credit rationing, that इतने लोगों के पास जरूर जाने चाहिए. 10% loans must go to a farmer. 10% loans must go to a farmer. This is positive credit rationing, and this positive credit rationing is known as priority sector lending. This is something we'll study when we will read the banking sector. From Monday, we will read banking. We will understand that there is something called priority sector lending. This is a method of positive credit rationing. It is a qualitative tool of monetary policy. It has an impact on money supply, but it cannot be measured. Okay. Now, one other tool, last tool actually, of qualitative monetary policy is regulation of loan to value ratio. Now, let's say you are a bank. As a bank, you are wanting to loan money to me. I am demanding a loan of 10,000 rupees. In return, you will ask for some collateral. What should be the minimum value of this collateral today? आज इस collateral की minimum value क्या होनी चाहिए आपके हिसाब से? Minimum value of this collateral today. As a bank, what would be your minimum expectation of the value? बताओ क्या होना चाहिए? Good. Minimum value should be 10,000 as per you, right? But it can be 20,000 also. It can be 20,000 also. This is minimum. It should ideally be more than 10,000. अगर 20,000 का है तो भी कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. If it is 2 lakh, then also there is no problem. You just need enough collateral so that if I am unable to repay, you are able to recover your loan. अगर मैं repay नहीं कर पाया तो आप recover कर पाओ. इसके लिए minimum value 10,000 चाहिए. Let's say I want a loan for 10,000 and I keep my phone as collateral with you. My phone today in the market must have a minimum value of 10,000. Only then you will be able to recover. This concept of how much loan versus how much value of collateral is the loan to value ratio. Value of collateral is 10,000. Loan given is 10,000. This is 100% loan to value. Loan value is 100% of value of collateral. Let's say RBI said that you cannot have a LTV, loan to value ratio is dictated by the RBI. RBI says your LTV must be 50%. LTV means 50%. This is set by the RBI. Now, if I want a loan of 20,000, how much collateral must I give? अब मुझे कितना कोलैटरल देना पड़ेगा अगर मुझे 20,000 का लोन चाहिए तो? और प्लीज कोई गलत नहीं बताएगा, ये सोच के बताना. लोन टू वैल्यू रेशियो इज 50%. नरेंद्र सबसे पहला और सबसे गलत आंसर. आलोक सबसे दूसरा और सबसे गलत. चलो आशीष एक ने सच बताया, एक ने ठीक बताया. अब देखो अब थोड़ा टाइम हो गया ना, अब आंसर्स ठीक आ रहे हैं. जिसने जल्दी बोला उसने गलत बोला. Just because 50% is written and an arrow is made does not mean you will make 50% of this and write 10,000 here. है ना? देखो 50% of the value of collateral can be given as loan, therefore value of collateral must be 40,000. If I give 40,000 collateral, you can give 50% of its value as loan. यहां पर क्या था? 100% loan to value ratio. Value of collateral is 10,000, value of loan is 10,000. 50% loan to value ratio. Value of collateral must be 40,000. Only then loan of 20,000 can be given. यहां पर जब मैं आपसे 10,000 का लोन मांग रहा था, minimum value of collateral was 10,000. Minimum value. This is minimum value of collateral. Collateral 2 लाख का भी है तो आपको दिक्कत नहीं आएगी. If I'm asking for a loan of 10,000 from you and I say I will keep my car as collateral, my car's value is much more than 10,000, then you will not have a problem. But if I say I will keep this pen as collateral, then you will have a problem. कि यार ये पेन की वैल्यू भी तो 10,000 रुपए हो तब तो मैं लोन दूं आपको, नहीं तो अगर आपने लोन रीपे नहीं किया मैं पेन का क्या करूंगा, राइट? So minimum value must be 10,000. Loan to value ratio, LTV ratio is simply loan value upon collateral value. If I give you a collateral of 1 crore rupees, you can give me a loan maximum of 1 crore rupees, right? At a collateral of 1 crore rupees, I cannot take a loan of 2 crore rupees. Na? That is loan to value ratio. RBI dictates this. RBI sets this ratio of loan to value ratio. है ना? RBI says LTV is 50%. Someone wants, let's say 2 people are there, A and B. This person wants a loan of 10,000 rupees, but their collateral value is 15,000 rupees. This person wants a loan of 10,000 rupees, their collateral value is 50,000 rupees. Which of them will get the loan? Which will get the loan out of A and B? Obviously, B will get the loan. B fits into the criteria. A will not get the loan. Why? Because loan to value ratio here is not fitting this 50% criteria. For A to now get the loan, how much collateral will he have to put? लोन लेने के लिए A को कितना collateral देना पड़ेगा? How much collateral will A have to give to get this loan? What is the minimum value of collateral now? It is 20,000. If A's value of collateral is 20,000, then he can actually take this loan. है ना? LTV is loan value to collateral value. RBI sets this figure कि आपको अगर collateral कोई 10,000 रुपए का देता है तो आप 5,000 का ही लोन दे सकते हो, उससे ज्यादा का लोन नहीं दे सकते एज अ बैंक. ये RBI सेट करता है. Will this measure have an impact on monetary policy? Will it have an impact on money supply? Will it have an impact on money supply? Yes or no? Of course, it's going to have an impact on money supply. अब how obviously it will have an impact ना. ये no कैसे लिख रहे हो आप? It is, this value is impacting the amount of loans taken by people. If it is impacting the amount of loans taken by people, it will have an impact on money supply ना. कि कितने लोग पैसे लोन ले पा रहे हैं, नहीं ले पा रहे. Now, by setting an LTV value, by setting LTV of 50%, I have said that if someone wants a loan of rupees 10,000, you must at least have collateral of 20,000. तभी आपको लोन मिलेगा. तभी आपको लोन मिलेगा, right? Now in this case, this will have an impact on money supply. Now what happens is, people who want loans of 10,000 must have collateral of 20,000. अब ऐसे बहुत लोग हैं जिनके पास ये collateral नहीं है. There are many people who don't have this collateral. So many people will not be able to take loan of 10,000. That means there will be an impact on money supply. But can I measure this impact? Can I actually find out कि कितने लोगों को लोन इसलिए नहीं मिला क्योंकि उनके पास एलटीवी वैल्यू के कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग कोलैटरल नहीं था. They wanted a loan, but they did not get it because their collateral did not have sufficient value. Can I measure this? No. It will have an impact, but I can't measure it. मेरे को बहुत डेटा चाहिए ये मेजर करने के लिए. At a broad level, it's almost impossible to measure. Right? This is the last tool of qualitative monetary policy. Qualitative monetary policy. Impact है money supply पे, but I can't measure the impact. So if I look at qualitative tools, they have an impact on money supply, but the impact is not measurable. I cannot measure the impact. The 4 tools of qualitative monetary policy we have seen are, the first one we saw was moral suasion. The second one is credit rationing. The third one is direct action. And fourth one is loan to value ratio. In credit rationing also, there is positive credit rationing and negative credit rationing. These are qualitative tools of monetary policy used by the RBI. Qualitative tools of monetary policy used by the RBI. ठीक है, समझ आ गया? Clear? Is this concept clear? इस पे क्वेश्चंस जनरली डोंट कम. वी जस्ट नीड टू नो द नेम्स जस्ट इन केस देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन. आपको अगर नाम पता है, इवन दैट इज सफिशिएंट. ठीक है, बट यू शुड नो द लॉजिक बिहाइंड इट कि क्यों मेजर मैं नहीं कर पा रहा हूं. साई चंदना पाट्रा, प्लीज लुक एट व्हाट आई हैव बीन टीचिंग. एलटीवी इज दैट कॉन्सेप्ट ना. एलटीवी ही डिसाइड करता है कि कोलैटरल और लोन के बीच में कितनी वैल्यू होनी चाहिए. व्हाई इज आरबीआई पुटिंग अ एलटीवी? आरबीआई 50% क्यों लगा रहा है? टू कीप लोन सिक्योर. इफ लोन टू वैल्यू रेशियो इज 50%, then are loans more secure or not? अब 99% चांस है कि लोन रिपेमेंट होगा. अगर मैं आपको कहूं आप 10,000 रुपए का एसेट छोड़ जाओ और 10,000 रुपए मेरे से ले जाओ, तो आप लोन नहीं दोगे. आप वापस ही नहीं करोगे लोन. आप कहोगे 10,000 की तो चीज दी थी, 10,000 रुपए तो मेरे हाथ में है, नहीं देता मैं वापस, क्या लॉस हुआ मेरा. बट अगर मैं कहूं 10,000 रुपए की लोन लेना है ना, तो 20,000 रुपए की चीज छोड़ के जाओ. अब 20,000 रुपए की चीज अटकी हुई है मेरे पास, तो आप पक्का रीपे करने की एटलीस्ट अपनी तो बेस्ट ट्राई करोगे. जितना मैं एलटीवी कम करता जाऊंगा, एलटीवी, उतना लोन मोर सिक्योर होता जाएगा, बट उतना लोन्स कम दिए जाएंगे. द अमाउंट ऑफ लोन्स विल आल्सो गेट लेसर, क्योंकि हो गए ही नहीं लोगों के पास इतना कोलैटरल. इट हैज एन इंपैक्ट ऑन मनी सप्लाई, बट आई कांट मेजर इट, नोन एज क्वालिटेटिव टूल्स. Now, this actually is a very important concept called market stabilization scheme or market sterilization scheme. आज ये सर्वर इशू है, इसलिए इसे take 5 minutes only. There is a server issue today, that is why I am not teaching this concept. बहुत लोग ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाए. It's a 5-minute concept, but it's fairly important. तो अभी इसको रहने देते हैं. We will, you can just know for now that this is a special type of open market operation. What this is, we will see tomorrow or on Monday actually. मैं अभी नहीं पढ़ा रहा हूं बिकॉज बहुत लोग ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाए. आई वांट टू टीच दिस लाइव. वी विल स्टार्ट विद दिस इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. ठीक है, हम ये पढ़ लेंगे. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट, बट आई एम नॉट टीचिंग राइट नाउ सिंपली बिकॉज मेनी पीपल वर नॉट एबल टू ज्वाइन. ठीक है, नाउ अब मैं आपको बताता हूं. दिस नेक्स्ट 10 minutes आर एक्चुअली समथिंग फॉर यू टू लर्न for the rest of your life, or at least for the time you are a part of this UPSC ecosystem. मान लो I want you to study a topic called X. मैं आपको कहूं कि ये टॉपिक पढ़ के देखो, ठीक है. मैं आपको बोलूंगा ये टॉपिक पढ़ो. हाउ डू यू अप्रोच दिस टॉपिक? आप इस टॉपिक को अप्रोच कैसे करोगे कि अब मुझे टॉपिक आना चाहिए? ये हम देखेंगे थ्रू अ टॉपिक कॉल्ड मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी. मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी इन दी आरबीआई. आरबीआई के अंदर एक मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी है this monetary policy committee, as the name suggests, monetary policy committee will decide the monetary policy of the country. नाम से पता चल रहा है. अब मान लो I am telling you that please read this topic of monetary policy committee. What steps will you take? Generally मैं बताता हूं, ये सबसे बड़ी गलती है हमारी. मैंने आपको बोला मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी पढ़ो. योर फर्स्ट थिंग विल बी या तो गूगल या नोट्स, और नोट्स खोल के पढ़ना स्टार्ट. अगर आप ऐसे पढ़ते हो, मैंने आपको बोला मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी पढ़ो, और आप ऐसे नोट्स पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर देते हो, इट इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू रिमेंबर थिंग्स फॉर दिस एग्जाम. आपका डबल टाइम लगेगा, राइट? आपको अब करना क्या चाहिए? आपको बिल्कुल भी पीवाईक्यूज नहीं देखने चाहिए. पहले पीवाईक्यू इज द सेकंड स्टेप, इट्स नॉट द फर्स्ट स्टेप. दिस फर्स्ट स्टेप इज कॉल्ड सेकंड प्रिंसिपल थिंकिंग. थोड़ा कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे आप, बट वी विल सी दिस स्टेप नाउ. मैंने आपको कहा मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी पढ़ो, डज नॉट मीन दैट यू नाउ स्टार्ट रीडिंग द बुक डायरेक्टली. डोंट स्टार्ट रीडिंग द बुक डायरेक्टली. मत पढ़ो बुक को. क्या करना चाहिए वो देखते हैं. लेट्स सी व्हाट यू शुड एक्चुअली बी डूइंग. आपको पीवाईक्यू सबसे पहले नहीं देखने. पीवाईक्यूज आर इंपॉर्टेंट बट दे आर नॉट द फर्स्ट स्टेप. मैंने आपको कहा मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी पढ़ो. आपको नाम से समझ आ रहा है ये एक आरबीआई की कमेटी है जो कंट्री की मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी डिसाइड करती है, राइट? हाउ डू यू अप्रोच दिस टॉपिक नाउ? बताओ. पीवाईक्यू नहीं है, सोचो क्या होगा. इफ यू आर जस्ट ज्वाइनिंग, यू हैव नॉट मिस्ड एनीथिंग, नॉट अ लॉट. बहुत थोड़ा बहुत मैंने पढ़ाया, और आज की क्लास में ज्यादा पढ़ाई नहीं होने वाली है. टेस्ट है अभी आधे घंटे बाद 50 क्वेश्चन का, वो इंपॉर्टेंट है. बताओ अब क्या करूं मैं? पीवाईक्यू में देख लूंगा बट दैट इज द सेकंड स्टेप. बुक खोलना इज नॉट द राइट आंसर. बताओ मैं क्या करूं? कोई कह रहा है यूट्यूब खोल लो. अरे यूट्यूब खोल लो. यूट्यूब इज लाइक नोट्स ना. ब्रेकिंग डाउन टॉपिक वर्ड्स. मैंने आपको कोई सिलेबस में लिखा ही नहीं है मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी कहीं यूपीएससी के. ब्रेक की टर्म्स में क्या है? मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी आपको पता है क्या है, और कमेटी आपको पता है क्या है? राशि गौतम. दिस इज द आंसर आई वाज लुकिंग फॉर. फर्स्ट स्टेप इज ऑलवेज टू थिंक कि ये क्या होगा, और एटलीस्ट टू फॉर्मुलेट सम क्वेश्चंस विद रिगार्ड्स टू व्हाट शुड इट बी. मेरे को पढ़ना है अब. नाउ प्लीज स्टॉप द चैट एंड लर्न दिस. ये जो नेक्स्ट 10 मिनट्स में मैं आपको बताने वाला हूं, दिस कैन सेव 2 to 3 years ऑफ योर लाइफ. 2-3 साल बचा सकता है आपके अगले 10 मिनट, अगर आपने ये बात समझ ली तो. ठीक है? मेरे को किसी ने बोला यार मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी पढ़नी है आपको आरबीआई की. मेरा पहला स्टेप क्या है? अब प्लीज चैट बंद करेंगे, है ना नमन, प्लीज अब बस, है ना. पहला स्टेप क्या है यार? अगर मुझे इस कमेटी के बारे में पढ़ना है तो व्हाट ऑल क्वेश्चंस कम टू माय माइंड? फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज हु आर द मेंबर्स ऑफ दिस कमेटी. 2, who appoints these members? 3, what does this committee decide? ये कमेटी क्या डिसाइड करती है? मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी तो ठीक है, बट कैसे? देन हाउ डज इट टेक इट्स डिसीजन? देन ये पेपर पे लिखना चाहिए आपको पहले, बिफोर यू स्टार्ट. आपने देखा हाउ डज इट टेक इट्स डिसीजन. देन इज देयर अ टारगेट इन फ्रंट ऑफ दिस कमिटी? अब ये टारगेट वाला मेरे दिमाग में क्यों आया? बिकॉज मुझे पता है कि इन्फ्लेशन का एक टारगेट है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का. द टारगेट इज 4 ± 2%. आई नो दिस टारगेट इज देयर. सो आई विल आस्क माई सेल्फ कि यार इसका टारगेट क्या है? इज देयर अ टारगेट? इफ यस, व्हाट इज द टारगेट? देन what if this target is breached? What if there is failure in terms of this target? ये आएगा मेरे दिमाग में. और सोचो, इन मेंबर्स पे भी क्वेश्चन आएगा. इन मेंबर्स का टेन्योर क्या है? इन मेंबर्स की रिटायरमेंट कब होती है? राइट? मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी इज विद इन द आरबीआई. गवर्नमेंट का भी कुछ लेना देना होगा ना इससे. अल्टीमेटली अगर इन्फ्लेशन होने लग जाए बहुत ज्यादा, हु लूजेस? अल्टीमेटली हु लूजेस? द गवर्नमेंट लूजेस. इफ इन्फ्लेशन इज गोइंग एट 20%, people will not vote for this government and government will lose the election. So how does government then impact with the monetary policy committee? गवर्नमेंट आरबीआई से कैसे बातें करती है या किस टाइप का इंफ्लुएंस गवर्नमेंट के पास है विद रिगार्ड्स टू एमपीसी? देन व्हाट इज द नेचर ऑफ दिस बॉडी? नेचर मतलब इज इट अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी? इज इट गिवन इन लॉ? इज इट मेड बाय एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर? दिस ऑल्सो आई हैव टू एड्रेस. अब जब मैं ये सारी चीजें सोच चुका हूं, नाउ व्हेन आई रीड, वुड माय रीडिंग नॉट बी बेटर नाउ? अब क्या मैं बेटर नहीं पढ़ूंगा यहां से? मुझे पता है आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग दीज क्वेश्चंस. नाउ डज इट ऑटोमेटिकली नॉट बिकम स्ट्रक्चर्ड? अब मैं कैसे भी पढ़ लूं, इवन इफ आई रीड फ्रॉम द वर्स्ट सोर्स पॉसिबल, my notes and my thinking will always be structured now. This is how you are supposed to read for this exam. Any topic you read, पहले सोचो. Second step is to look at its previous year questions कि इससे किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन आए हैं. In your process, you might have thought of these 6-7 things. There might be an extra previous year question जो इनमें से नहीं है. That also you will add to this process. Maybe 7 या 8 questions बन जाएंगे. हो सकता है पीवाईक्यू में कुछ पूछ लिया हो सकता है पीवाईक्यू में कुछ पूछ लिया हो जो मैं नहीं सोच पाया था. Then I should start reading. Now I should start reading about Monetary Policy Committee. Are you understanding the difference in approach here? Is this not a much better approach to study any topic? So when you are studying on your own, need to do this first. Then go forward. अब मैं आपको मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी पढ़ के दिखाता हूं थ्रू दिस अप्रोच. अब मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा कि कैसे पढ़ा जाता है एंड हाउ यू कैन यूज दिस टू जज द क्वालिटी ऑफ योर सोर्स ऑल्सो. आप इसको यूज कर सकते हो अपने सोर्स की क्वालिटी को जज करके भी. क्यों? अगर आपके सोर्स में सिर्फ ये पहले 3 क्वेश्चन आंसर हो रहे हैं, दैट मींस दैट सोर्स इज नॉट गुड. हर बार थोड़ी आप सब कुछ सोच लोगे. But if the source is answering all of these questions, that means it is a good source. You should keep reading from that source. And if it is a good source, it is answering all your questions. तो आगे भी it will keep answering all your questions. समझ आई बात? This is how you decide which book to read and which book is a good book to read or which teacher is a good teacher to study from. आपने देखा होगा अभी तक generally जो questions आपके दिमाग में आते हैं, tell me if this is true or not. Generally the questions that are coming to your mind while reading a topic, अगर मैंने कोई टॉपिक स्टार्ट किया है तो within 10 to 20 minutes you will see that I have explained those questions also. मैंने एक टॉपिक स्टार्ट किया इन्फ्लेशन, अगर 5 मिनट बाद आपके दिमाग में उस इन्फ्लेशन सुनते ही कोई क्वेश्चन आया, 5 मिनट बाद यूजुअली आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट ऑल्सो. वाई? आई एम नॉट अ अंतर्यामी. आई कैन नॉट प्रिडिक्ट कि आप क्या सोचोगे. आई डू दिस एक्सरसाइज बिफोर आई मेक माई नोट्स. When I do this exercise, I know मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी बोलते ही ये टॉपिक किसी ना किसी के दिमाग में आएंगे. तो मेरे मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी के नोट्स में ये सारे क्वेश्चंस होने चाहिए और पीवाईक्यूज वाली चीजें भी होनी चाहिए. It is not something that is simply happening because I'm able to predict your questions. I spend time thinking before I teach the topic. Right? This is how you are also supposed to read. Now let me show you notes for monetary policy. अब ये नोट्स मैंने बनाए हैं. पहली लाइन में क्या लिखा है? MPC is a statutory committee. Statutory means established as per law. अब नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या बनता है यहां पे? Which law? लॉ तो ठीक है. Which law? RBI Act. पहला क्वेश्चन आंसर हुआ. सेकंड क्वेश्चन, हाउ मेनी मेंबर्स आर देयर? 6 members. Who appoints these members? 3 members are appointed by RBI, 3 members are appointed by government. इससे एक और भी आगे का क्वेश्चन आंसर हो रहा है ना, हाउ डज गवर्नमेंट इंटरैक्ट विद मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी? उसका एक पार्ट यहां आंसर हो रहा है. नाउ आपने कहा 3 members फ्रॉम RBI. Who are these 3? ये कौन 3 लोग हैं? One is the governor of monetary policy committee of the RBI. The governor of the RBI is the chairperson of this committee. Governor of RBI means chairperson of monetary policy committee. He is the one who heads this committee. He is obviously from the RBI side. Then there is one deputy governor. So RBI nominates 3 people. One is governor of RBI, who is chairperson. One is deputy governor, also from the RBI. Then one nominated member by the RBI central board. RBI में एक central board है, वो central board एक member और को nominate करता है. These three people represent the RBI in the Monetary Policy Committee made as per the RBI Act, which has 6 members. There are now 3 more members. These 3 members are nominated by the government. Government can choose to nominate anybody. Generally, government nominates who? Government nominates prominent economists. 3 लोग गवर्नमेंट भेजती है, 3 लोग आरबीआई भेजती है. अब व्हाट इज द टेन्योर? जो मेंबर्स गवर्नमेंट ने भेजे वो 4 साल के टेन्योर में रहेंगे. एंड देयर इज नो रीअपॉइंटमेंट. दे विल नॉट बी रीअपॉइंटेड. दे कैन नॉट बी रीअपॉइंटेड टू दिस कमिटी. जो मेंबर्स आरबीआई भेजती है, देयर टेन्योर इज सिंपली एज पर देयर जॉब टेन्योर. आप आरबीआई गवर्नर हो, आपको 3 साल के लिए आरबीआई गवर्नर बनाया गया है, तो आप 3 साल के लिए इस कमेटी में हो. आप जब आरबीआई से बाहर हो जाओगे, आप इस कमेटी से भी बाहर हो जाओगे. आप आरबीआई के डिप्यूटी गवर्नर हो, आपका रिटायरिंग एज इज लेट्स से 60 इयर्स. व्हेन यू क्रॉस 60 इयर्स, यू विल बी आउट ऑफ आरबीआई, आउट ऑफ दिस कमिटी. ठीक है. अब एक क्वेश्चन जो आपने नहीं सोचा, जिन लोगों ने पॉलिटी पढ़ लेना था उन्हें यहां पे सोच लेना था, उन्होंने सोच लेना था, व्हाट वाज द लॉजिक हियर? व्हाट इज द कोरम ऑफ दिस कमिटी? कोरम क्या है इस कमिटी का? कोरम मींस, जिन लोगों ने पॉलिटी नहीं पढ़ा उनको बता देता हूं. कोरम मींस व्हाट इज द मिनिमम अटेंडेंस ऑफ दिस कमिटी फॉर दिस कमिटी टू फंक्शन. हर बार तो 6 लोग नहीं आएंगे, है ना. मिनिमम कितने लोग आने चाहिए? क्या हम कह देंगे कि इनमें से सिर्फ 1 पर्सन हैज कम, तो मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी की मीटिंग हो गई, बाकी 5 बीमार थे मान लो, एक बंदा आया इनमें से और उसने अपने हिसाब से मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी बना दी. विल वी कॉल दिस अ मीटिंग ऑफ एमपीसी और नॉट? दिस क्वेश्चन. इसका आंसर है 4 members are there, including the governor, forming the quorum. So for a meeting of monetary policy committee to be called a meeting of MPC, हम कहें ये MPC की मीटिंग है, इसके लिए at least 4 people need to be present, and one out of those 4 people must be the governor of RBI. अगर RBI गवर्नर मीटिंग में नहीं आया तो ये मीटिंग नहीं हो सकती. जब मिनिमम 4 लोग आएंगे और उन 4 में से एक गवर्नर होगा, तभी ये कमिटी चलेगी. सेकंड, ये भी नहीं सोचा हाउ मेनी मीटिंग्स विल इट हैव. साल में कितनी बार ये मीटिंग करेंगे? अब इसका आंसर क्या है? ये एक स्टैट्यूटरी कमिटी है, लॉ बेस्ड कमिटी है, तो लॉ में ही इस चीज का आंसर लिखा होगा. लॉ कहता है दैट यू मस्ट डू मिनिमम 4 मीटिंग्स अ ईयर. 4 मीटिंग्स पर ईयर मिनिमम. बट दिस इज मिनिमम. Usually this committee means bi-monthly, means after every 2 months there is one meeting of monetary policy committee. अभी हमने देखा था, न्यूज आ रहा था बहुत ज्यादा, आपको बताया भी था मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी की मीटिंग है अभी दिसंबर में. एवरी 2 months there is going to be a meeting. दिसंबर में अभी हुई, तो नेक्स्ट कब होगी? फरवरी में होगी. नहीं. नाउ व्हाट डू दे डिसाइड? व्हाट डिसीजन आर दे टेकिंग? क्या डिसाइड कर रहे हैं? मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी तो डिसाइड कर रहे हैं, बट कैसे? दे डिसाइड द रिपो रेट. दिस इज द ओनली थिंग दैट आरबीआई डिसाइड्स हियर. रिपो रेट इज डिसाइडेड इन मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी. इफ रिपो रेट इज डिसाइडेड, automatically it influences the reverse repo rate. Automatically it influences the marginal standing facility also, right? ऑटोमेटिकली ये दोनों भी इंफ्लुएंस हो गए. नाउ हाउ डू दे डिसाइड? कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं? बाय majority voting. This committee has 3 members from the government, 3 members from the RBI. This committee takes all its decisions by majority vote. अब यहां प्रॉब्लम क्या है? What is the problem here? There are 3 and 3 people. 6 लोग हैं, 50-50 टाई हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा? This question should automatically come to your mind. The moment I say the word majority, you should think यार 50-50 हो गया तो क्या? अब क्या होगा? Now you need to answer this question. If there is a 50-50 tie, if there is a 3:3 tie, the governor gets 1 more vote. दिस इज कॉल्ड द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ कास्टिंग वोट. आप पॉलिटी में पढ़ोगे या पढ़ चुके होगे ये कॉन्सेप्ट. यू विल रीड अबाउट कास्टिंग वोट इन लॉट ऑफ डिटेल इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द स्पीकर ऑफ द लोकसभा एंड द डेप्यूटी द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया हु इज चेयरमैन ऑफ राज्यसभा. यू विल रीड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट देयर. कॉन्सेप्ट सिंपली मीन्स कि अगर 3-3 टाई हो गया तो एक और अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी सिर्फ गवर्नर को. ये 3-3 टाई हो गया, गवर्नर कहेंगे अब आप वोट करो, यस और नो. आपका जो वोट होगा वो फाइनल है टाई के बाद. सो इन द फर्स्ट राउंड everyone will vote. If there is a tie in the first round, then only governor will vote, and this vote will decide the monetary policy. Right? तब one side, the other side, it will be decided. ये 3:3 किसी एक साइड पे 4:3 हो जाएगा और बात खत्म. ठीक है? Now, what is the target of this committee? 4 ± 2%. 4 ± 2% inflation. On what? Measured on CPI combined all India. Measured on CPI combined. देख चुके हैं हम CPI combined. What if they fail? अगर ये टारगेट से फेल हो गए तो क्या? If they fail for 3 consecutive quarters. 3 months का एक क्वार्टर होता है. 3 months पहले 3 months में फेल हुए, फिर अगले 3 months में, फिर अगले 3 months में. What does this mean? That for consecutive 3 quarters, that for 9 months at a stretch, 9 months at a stretch, the CPI combined all India is greater than 6% or less than 2%. In both these cases, they have failed. CPI combined all India is greater than 6% or less than 2%. They have failed in both these cases. Target is 4 ± 2. If they fail on this criteria for 9 months continuously, then they have to send a report to the government telling the reasons of this failure and what possible solutions can be given for this failure. Now, how can government communicate with this? One thing is that government is appointing some members of Monetary Policy Committee. How can government communicate with the Monetary Policy Committee? अब देखो, what is the role of MPC? Role of MPC is to control inflation. Inflation is opposite to what criteria? Growth. So you can either have growth or have inflation. ये उल्टी relationship हमें पता है. Inflation growth trade-off is there. Government will call members of MPC and say, government call करेगी MPC के members को, हमें growth करानी है, चुपचाप growth करवाओ. ठीक है? इससे क्या होगा? Growth will be high. Inflation will also be high. When inflation is high, government will go in public and say, ये MPC की गलती है, उनकी गलती है, हमें मत बोलो, हमारा काम ग्रोथ कराना है, ग्रोथ हो रही है. This is MPC's fault. If you want to say something, say it to the MPC. We are doing our jobs properly. Even though MPC wanted to control inflation, government ने अपना influence use किया. Government is very powerful. इस चीज को रोकने के लिए क्या प्रोविजन डाला गया? That any communication, government obviously should be given the opportunity to talk to the MPC. गवर्नमेंट को अपॉर्चुनिटी तो मिलनी चाहिए एमपीसी से बात करने की, नहीं तो एमपीसी बिल्कुल ही ऑटोनमस हो जाएगी, इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाएगी. द प्रोविजन दैट वाज पुट वाज दैट एनी कम्युनिकेशन मस्ट ओनली बी इन राइटिंग. अगर गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ बोलना है एमपीसी को तो इन राइटिंग भेजे लिख के, ताकि पब्लिकली ट्रांसपेरेंटली ये डेटा अवेलेबल हो. इज इट क्लियर? नाउ वंस दिस इज क्लियर, next natural question that comes to our mind is why or what are the other measures of transparency to be adopted by MPC. हमें इससे ये भी समझ आया MPC is performing a very important function of inflation control and therefore there must be transparency in this body. ये body transparent होनी चाहिए ताकि हमें, अगर मैं चाहूं पढ़ना MPC के decisions तो मैं पढ़ सकूं. What are the other measures that MPC is taking for transparency? This is a natural question emanating from this statement only. What are those measures? MPC will publish the minutes of its meeting. Minutes of meeting is a transcript of everything that was said in the meeting. आज MPC की मीटिंग हुई, बहुत लोगों ने बहुत बातें बोली और फिर एक let's say repo rate decide हुआ. What was said? What was the discussion that was happening? उसको कोई टाइपिस्ट बैठा होगा, आपने देखा होगा गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेस में जनरली स्टेनोग्राफर इज सिटिंग हु इज टाइपिंग आउट एवरीथिंग that people are saying, they are called minutes of the meeting. Minutes of meeting, that this person said this, then this person said this, then this argument was made, then this argument was made, finally this decision was taken. These minutes of meeting must be made public by MPC within 2 weeks of their meeting. आज मीटिंग हुई तो within 2 weeks publish the minutes of the meeting publicly. सबको दिखाओ किसने क्या डिस्कशन किया और क्या डिसीजन हुआ है, ताकि कोई ट्रांसपेरेंसी की प्रॉब्लम ना रहे. Even if you want, you can access and read whatever people are saying. Then every 6 months prepare a report on monetary policy in India and show your decisions. Every 6 months prepare a proper report. After every meeting, within 14 days, publish your minutes of meeting. Every 6 months, publish a public report on monetary policy in India, so that everyone knows what sort of logic and decisions and arguments you people are using. अब देखो, अब MPC समझ आया, better समझ आया than if you would have I would have just wrote this for you. मैं आपको सिर्फ लिख के दे देता कि देखो यार, ये होता है, 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 रट लो. ये चीजें याद करनी है. We have to remember it. There is not a lot of logic. क्या लॉजिक है कि 3 मेंबर ही हैं गवर्नमेंट साइड से और 3 आरबीआई की साइड से. 6 और 6 भी हो सकते थे, 12 और 12 भी हो सकते थे, राइट? बट नाउ since this is a topic that requires mugging up, it is much better to study like this. Now you will not forget. है ना, कुछ टॉपिक्स में रटना पड़ता है, उसमें ask yourself that question first. पहले खुद से ही पूछ लो क्वेश्चन, ठीक है? Now there are 2 possible systems. One is RBI can set repo rate. Repo rate will influence the banks, and this influence will let people change their lending rate. एक है कि RBI एक repo rate set करे. This repo rate will influence the bank. Once this repo rate influence the bank, then bank will change its lending rate. Influence करेगा ना, repo rate आसानी से कैसा मिल रहा है, मुश्किल से मिल रहा है, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. अब दूसरा तरीका है that RBI directly says to the bank, this is your interest rate. आपका इंटरेस्ट रेट इतना होना चाहिए. आप लोन देते हो, होम लोन देते हो, 10% पे दो, बात खत्म, पीछे कुछ मत देखो. दिस इज वन वे. एंड द अदर वे आरबीआई का है कि हम रिपो रेट सेट करते हैं, एंड इससे यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली गेट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड. वो ग्राफ हमने देखा था, ठीक है? नाउ इन इंडिया वी फॉलो दिस सिस्टम. आरबीआई डज नॉट डिक्टेट टू द बैंक्स कि आपका लेंडिंग रेट क्या होना चाहिए. आरबीआई एक्सिस बैंक को फोन करके नहीं बोलता कि आप होम लोन दे रहे हो 10% पे दो. नो, it will change the repo rate. On the basis of repo rate, the banks will change its lending rates. अब इसमें एक प्रॉब्लम है सिस्टम में. ये ग्राफ याद करो. सप्लाई ऑफ लोनेबल फंड्स, डिमांड ऑफ लोनेबल फंड्स. RBI has reduced the repo rate. What will happen to this graph? क्या चेंज होगा इस ग्राफ में? RBI has reduced repo rate. What will change? गलत मत बताना यार प्लीज. गलत मत बताना प्लीज. What will happen to this graph now? Supply of loanable funds comes outside. This is lending rate. Lending rate should come down. Lending rate should come down, है ना? अब मुझे लोन चीपर मिलना चाहिए. Ideally, I should now get a cheaper loan, है ना? Loans will become cheaper ideally. अब इस प्रोसेस में देखो हुआ क्या है. If loans will become cheaper, more people will take loan. That means money supply has changed. And what factor of money supply has changed? M change हुआ है या M not change हुआ है? M has changed. M has increased, therefore MS has increased. This also we know. अब देखो, I am a banker, मैं हूं CEO ऑफ एक्सिस बैंक, मैं एक्सिस बैंक का CEO हूं. अभी जो इंटरेस्ट रेट है, अभी लेट्स से कार लोन का, right now car loan is available for 10%. Let's say in this condition, before RBI's decision, before RBI has taken this decision, today car loan is available at 10% interest rate. RBI takes this decision, ideally car loan should become cheaper. है ना, कार लोन शुड बिकम चीपर. नाउ पहली बात तो हम यहां समझते हैं, हाउ आर इंटरेस्ट रेट्स लिंक्ड. पहले हम इंटरेस्ट रेट्स के लिंकेज समझते हैं. दिस इज अ बैंक, वन सेकेंड, this is a bank, this is a depositor of a bank, they give some money here, savings interest rate, banks will give money here, and they will get some lending interest rate. Lending interest rate will be equal to savings interest rate plus spread, है ना. अगर बैंक यहां पर, if this rate is 5%, of course some of this money will be kept as CRR, will be kept as SLR, but rest will be loaned out. अगर यहां 5% है, तो this has to be somewhere around, let's say 7% or higher, है ना. बिकॉज यहां 100 रुपए मिले, 100 रुपए में से 4% 4 चले गए CRR में, 20% SLR में, 24 आर गॉन, 76 आर लेफ्ट. नाउ 76 पे जो पैसा कमाया वो 5 रुपए से ज्यादा होना चाहिए, क्योंकि 5 तो यहां वापस करने, 5 यहां वापस करने, राइट. 76 पे जो पैसा कमाया वो 5 से ज्यादा होना चाहिए, तभी बात बनेगी. कुछ प्रॉफिट भी होगा, बैंक के अपने भी तो खर्चे हैं, राइट, तभी ये चीज चल सकती है. नाउ इफ RBI says that savings interest rate should now be 10%, RBI ने सेविंग्स इंटरेस्ट रेट को 10% कर दिया, तो लेंडिंग का इंटरेस्ट रेट भी तो बढ़ जाएगा ना. बिकॉज ऑफ दिस लॉजिक, समझ आ रही है बात. पहले बैंक हैड टू रिटर्न 5 रुपीज, नाउ बैंक हैज टू रिटर्न 10 रुपीज. बैंक अर्लियर हैड टू अर्न ऑन दिस लेंडिंग मिनिमम ऑफ 5 रुपीज, नाउ बैंक हैज टू अर्न ऑन दिस लेंडिंग मिनिमम ऑफ 10 रुपीज. तो अब आपने ये टर्म सुनी होगी, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इन द इकोनॉमी. इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इन द इकोनॉमी, इकोनॉमी में व्हाट इज द जनरल इंटरेस्ट रेट, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू द इंटरेस्ट रेट इन द इकोनॉमी, विच इंटरेस्ट रेट डू वी टॉक ऑफ हियर. हमने ये ग्राफ बना के देखा था that if you change the money supply, the interest rate will fall. Which interest rate will fall? कौन सा इंटरेस्ट रेट फॉल करेगा, सोच के बताना, गलत मत बोलना प्लीज. ऑल इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, दे आर ऑल लिंक टुगेदर ना, सारे ना सारे. ये मनी सप्लाई का ग्राफ है, ये लोनेबल फंड्स का नहीं है, ये मनी सप्लाई का ग्राफ है. ये देखो, दिस इज स्ट्रेट लाइन. They will all change together ना, they will all change together. सब साथ में ही तो चेंज हो रहा है, they are all linked, they will all change together. money supply increases. अब ऑलरेडी देखो, लॉजिकली समझना है तो लॉजिकली समझ सकते हैं. मनी सप्लाई हैज इंक्रीज्ड, देयर इज लॉट ऑफ मनी इन द इकोनॉमी. नाउ व्हेन देयर इज लॉट ऑफ मनी इन द इकोनॉमी, विल यू टेक लोन एट हायर रेट और लोअर रेट? ऑब्वियसली एट लोअर रेट. आप कहोगे यार सबके पास है पैसा, कोई भी लोन दे देगा, लोअर इंटरेस्ट रेट पे लेते हैं, है ना. देयर इज लॉट ऑफ मनी इन द इकोनॉमी, यू गो टू द बैंक एंड से आई गिव यू 100 रुपीज बट आई वॉन्ट 4% सेविंग्स रेट, है ना? आप बैंक के पास जाओ, कहो मैं आपको 100 रुपीज दूंगा बट आई वॉन्ट 4% रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। बैंक कहेगा नहीं, हम देयर इज सो मच मनी इन द इकोनॉमी, वी विल फाइंड समवन हु इज एबल टू गिव इट एट 3% ऑल्सो। बैंक भी क्यों आपको हाई इंटरेस्ट रेट देगा? नहीं देगा। बैंक विल नॉट गिव हाई इंटरेस्ट रेट। बैंक विल से मुझे 3% वाले भी खड़े हैं देने के लिए। देयर इज सो मच मनी इन द इकोनॉमी। नाउ व्हेन द मनी इन द इकोनॉमी इज टाइट, मनी नहीं है इकोनॉमी में, देन व्हेन यू गो टू द बैंक्स, देन बैंक्स विल से दे दो यार, डिपॉजिट दे दो किसी भी तरह, मिल ही नहीं रहा पैसा, प्लीज गिव अस अ डिपॉजिट। तो फोन आएगा बैंक का, बैंक रेट भी ज्यादा देगा। सो एवरी सिंगल वन ऑफ दीज इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इज लिंक्ड टुगेदर। Interest rates in the economy are rising. That means savings rate should also rise, FD rate should also rise, loan rate should also rise. समझ आई ये बात? आइडली सब कुछ साथ में राइज करना चाहिए, करेक्ट? सो विद मी सो फार, आइडियल कंडीशंस में ऑल ऑफ दीज शुड राइज टुगेदर एज पर द ग्राफ वी हैव सीन, बिकॉज दे आर लिंक्ड टुगेदर। अभी तक तो कोई डाउट नहीं होगा, आई एम अज्यूमिंग दे आर ऑल लिंक्ड टुगेदर। है ना? ठीक है। अब मैं हूं एक्सिस बैंक का सीईओ। दिस इज द एग्जैक्ट थिंग दैट हैज हैपेंड इन द इकोनॉमी। आरबीआई ने रिपो रेट कम कर दिया, आरबीआई ने रिपो रेट कम कर दिया, ठीक है? अर्लियर आरबीआई ने रिपो रेट कम कर दिया, मतलब मनी सप्लाई इन द इकोनॉमी हैज इंक्रीज्ड। मनी सप्लाई हैज इंक्रीज मींस इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इन द इकोनॉमी शुड फॉल। अब देखते हैं, अर्लियर सेविंग्स इंटरेस्ट रेट was 4%, car loan was 10%. Now, as a clever CEO of a bank, what can I do? To the people who are coming to now get savings rate, जो अब savings interest rate लेने आ रहे हैं, जो लोग अब savings interest rate लेने आ रहे हैं, मैं उनको क्या बोलूंगा? मैं उनको बोलूंगा यार, RBI has reduced the repo rate, savings interest rate has reduced, therefore I will give you savings rate only at 3%. There is a lot of money supply. To the people who are demanding a loan, will I also make this 9%? I will try my best not to make it 9%. मैं ट्राई करूंगा अपना बेस्ट के 9% ना करना पड़े। क्यों? बिकॉज दिस इज माई पेमेंट। ये मेरी पेमेंट है, ये मेरी कॉस्ट है, ये मेरी अर्निंग है। इसको तो मैं कम कर दूंगा, कॉस्ट को तो मैं रेडिली कम कर दूंगा, बट दिस आई विल नॉट वॉन्ट टू मेक 10% से 9%। मैं इसे कम नहीं करूंगा unless I am forced to do it. Unless I am forced to do it, I will not reduce it. Now, for me to be forced to do it, everyone requires perfect information. सबको पता होना चाहिए ये बात। Perfect information should be there. Perfect information should be there. ये सबको पता होनी चाहिए बात, तभी मुझे ये करना पड़ेगा। Somebody is saying you have to do. Why does bank have to do? बैंक ने तो, आरबीआई इज नॉट डिक्टेटिंग टू द बैंक। मैंने आपको पहले क्या बोला? तो दिस इज अनदर वे ऑफ प्रिडिक्टिंग योर क्वेश्चंस। आई न्यू दिस क्वेश्चन वुड कम, तभी पहले मैंने ये सिस्टम बताया। आरबीआई आपको डायरेक्टली लेंडिंग रेट नहीं चेंज करने को बोल रहा, आरबीआई सिर्फ ये चेंज कर रहा है दिस इन्फ्लुएंसेस दिस। यही हमने देखा था ना, आरबीआई ने ये चेंज कर दिया, ये इन्फ्लुएंस भी हो गया। मैं नहीं कर रहा चेंज। मैं क्यों नहीं कर रहा? बिकॉज ये मेरा प्रॉफिट है, दिस इज माई प्रॉफिट, आई विल ट्राई नॉट टू चेंज। अब अगर ऐसी ही कंडीशन आ गई कि 10% पे कोई लोन ले ही नहीं रहा, nobody is taking a loan at 10%, if this condition comes, then I will have to change it, right? Then I will change. I will change only if every other bank has changed. हर बैंक ने चेंज कर दिया, 10% से 9% कर दिया, अब मेरे को चेंज करना ही पड़ेगा, because nobody will come to me. But this process will take time. And maybe some other banks don't also change. जब आप किसी बैंक से लोन लेने जाते हो, do you call up every single bank to find out the interest rate? No. You don't call up every single bank. There is not perfect information. ये वो वेजिटेबल मार्केट नहीं है कि सबका रेट सेम हो। आप सबका पता नहीं करते। मोस्ट पीपल 2 या 3 बैंक को फोन करते हैं जो मार्केट को कंट्रोल करते हैं, राइट? समझ आई ये बात? तो मैं ट्राई करूंगा मैं ट्राई करूंगा कि ये चेंज ना हो, क्योंकि मैं बढ़िया है अगर मुझे पहले 4% पे सेविंग्स और 10% पे लोन देना था, अब मैं 3% पे सेविंग्स दूंगा और ये मैं 10% पे दूंगा, मेरा प्रॉफिट अच्छा हो रहा है, आई एम मेकिंग मोर मनी एज अ बैंक नाउ, सो आई विल नॉट चेंज. इज दिस कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर कि ये क्यों होता है? If everyone gets perfect information, then it will change. Till there is no perfect information, this will not change. Loans are not a perfect market, है ना? अब now, what has failed here? What is the failure that has happened here? Monetary policy has not been transmitted properly. The transmission of monetary policy has failed. RBI was trying to change the interest rate on the basis of monetary policy. There is not enough transmission of monetary policy. आप तक नहीं पहुंच पाई. RBI to bank to you. Monetary policy has reached from RBI to bank to you in savings rate. Monetary policy has not reached from RBI to bank to you in lending rate. There is a problem of transmission of monetary policy. समझ आई ये बात? ट्रांसमिशन नहीं हो पा रही है. आरबीआई अपने लेवल पे ठीक कर रही है, बट बैंक इज नॉट पासिंग ऑन दिस टू यू. बैंक आपको पास ऑन नहीं कर रहा है. रिपो रेट कट हुआ तो रिपो रेट डाउन, सो लेंडिंग रेट शुड ऑल्सो बी डाउन, बट ट्रांसमिशन इज नॉट हैपनिंग टू यू. RBI will nudge bank CEOs to pass on the benefit of lower policy rates to customers. RBI will try कि आप पास कर दो ये रेट, प्लीज कर दो. कहा था ना इस आर्टिकल का मतलब मैं आपको अभी समझाऊंगा थोड़ी देर में. अब समझ आया इस आर्टिकल का मतलब? नज मीन्स टू it's not exactly request, somewhat like request. पुराना आर्टिकल है, this is 2019. It's not the situation today. It's 2019. But the logic is clear. This thing keeps happening. Right? This is failure of transmission of monetary policy. Monetary policy is not transmitted. Now, what can be one more reason for failure of transmission of monetary policy here? ये जो ट्रांसमिशन फेल हुई है यहां पे मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी की, इसका एक और रीजन क्या है? What is one more reason of failure of this transmission? RBI has reduced. RBI has said the repo rate is less, which means cheaper repo rate means RBI will give loans to banks cheaply. है ना? Loans to banks will be given cheaply. यार प्लीज चैट बंद करो यार, है ना? प्लीज. RBI will give loans to banks cheaply. Since banks are getting loans cheaply from RBI, banks will give cheap loans to people. यही लॉजिक लगा रहे हैं ना. आरबीआई ने रिपो रेट कम कर दिया, सप्लाई ऑफ लोनेबल फंड्स टू द बैंक हैज इंक्रीज्ड बिकॉज बैंक्स कैन नाउ गेट लोन्स चीपली फ्रॉम आरबीआई. नाउ बैंक्स विल गिव चीप लोन्स टू पीपल. दिस इज द लॉजिक वी आर यूजिंग नो सो फार. ये तो तभी है ना जब ये बैंक यहां से लोन लेता है. दिस इज ओनली ट्रू इफ द बैंक टेक्स लोन फ्रॉम आरबीआई. बैंक ओनली loans what it gets in deposits. बैंक को जो डिपॉजिट मिलता है, बैंक इज ओनली गिविंग आउट दैट लोन. बैंक सिर्फ उसी चीज को लोन करता है जो उसको डिपॉजिट कितना मिलता है. they might not take this loan. बैंक लेता ही नहीं आरबीआई से लोन, राइट? तो अब क्या होगा? नाउ अगेन देयर विल बी फेलियर ऑफ मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी ट्रांसमिशन. आरबीआई took the right step, but monetary policy transmission failed. RBI was not able to transmit monetary policy. समझ आया कुछ? ये भी बात क्लियर है? तो मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, एक है मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी को बनाना, एक है मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी को ट्रांसमिट करवाना, राइट? अब हम और क्या लॉजिक रख रहे हैं? अल्टीमेटली व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी? आरबीआई का काम क्या है? इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करना है ना. सॉरी अबाउट दिस. आरबीआई का काम है इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करना. यही काम है ना आरबीआई का, कि इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करनी है. नाउ RBI's job is to control inflation. RBI is trying to control inflation through this. How will this control inflation? अब इस सिचुएशन को थोड़ा उल्टा करके देखते हैं. इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करने में सिचुएशन को देखते हैं. I will just repeat the situation in the opposite manner. RBI will increase the repo rate. This means loans to banks are more expensive. Banks get expensive funds, so it will give less loans. If it gives less loans, it will not, supply of loanable funds has decreased. It will give less loans. That means people will now have less money to spend. This will reduce the aggregate demand. यही लॉजिक लगा रहे हैं ना हम. आरबीआई ने रिपो रेट बढ़ाया, सप्लाई ऑफ लोनेबल फंड्स डिक्रीज्ड. सप्लाई ऑफ लोनेबल फंड्स डिक्रीज मींस बैंक नाउ विल हैव लेस लोनेबल फंड्स. Less loanable funds with bank means less loans to people. Less loans to people means people will have less money to spend. Less money to spend means reduction of aggregate demand. Reduction of aggregate demand means controlled inflation. This is the logic we are using now. यही लॉजिक लगा रहे हैं ना. अब एक और प्रॉब्लम है इस लॉजिक में. पहली प्रॉब्लम क्या थी? कि बैंक डिपॉजिट से पैसा लेता है. This was the first problem. Bank takes deposits also, and now I'll have to see how much of these loans are coming from what the RBI has given the bank and how much of these loans are coming from these deposits. ये RBI का पैसा, ये बैंक का पैसा. This is RBI money, this is deposit money. How many loans are going out on the basis of deposit money? How many loans are going out on the basis of RBI money? This is the first problem. Second, people when they are doing spending, जब लोग spending करते हैं, they can spend from their own savings or they can take loans and spend. या तो लोग अपनी सेविंग्स से स्पेंड करते हैं, यानी कि डेबिट कार्ड. People can spend on a debit card also, right? And people can also spend on the basis of the loans they are getting. लोग अपने, और लोग कैश भी स्पेंड करते हैं. पीपल हैव कैश ऑल्सो. करेंसी इन सर्कुलेशन, कैश इन हैंड, करेंसी डिपॉजिट रेशियो. तो लोगों के पास स्पेंड करने की तीन चीजें हैं. वन इज मेरे सेविंग्स बैंक में कितना पैसा है. वन इज मुझे लोन्स कितने मिल रहे हैं. थर्ड इज कैश जो मेरे पास है. अब वेरी केयरफुली थिंक अबाउट दिस. ये गलत नहीं होना चाहिए. टफ क्वेश्चन है, पहले बता रहा हूं. जल्दी जवाब मत देना, सोच के देना. There are three things: cash, money in savings bank, and loans taken by people. Change in repo rate can influence which of these spending patterns? How many of these spending patterns can repo rate influence? इस वाले फैक्टर पे ध्यान से सोचना, बाकी तो दोनों क्लियर ही हैं. थिंक अबाउट दिस फैक्टर क्लियरली. बाकी तो क्लियर ही है. बताओ। नावेद ने सबसे पहले जवाब दिया और गलत दिया। सबसे पहला जवाब जनरली गलत होता है। श्रेयांश ने सोच के जवाब दिया, ईशु ने सोच के जवाब दिया, सही दिया। अंकित ने गलत दिया। देखो, people have money in savings account. In savings account, what will determine my spending? क्या डिटरमाइन करेगा कि मैं सेविंग्स अकाउंट का पैसा खर्च करूं या नहीं? द इंटरेस्ट रेट आई एम गेटिंग ना। अगर सेविंग्स अकाउंट में 10% इंटरेस्ट रेट है ना, सेविंग्स अकाउंट में 10% इंटरेस्ट रेट है, करेक्ट। अब अगर 10% इंटरेस्ट रेट है तो मैं कहूंगा यार नहीं करते, आई विल नॉट स्पेंड, मैं नहीं करता स्पेंड। अगर 2% है तो मैं कहूंगा कर दो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। दिस रेट इज ऑल्सो इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय रेपो रेट ना। बैंक कैन टेक मनी ईदर थ्रू डिपॉजिट और थ्रू पीपल। हमने यहां तो देखा है कि सेविंग्स रेट पे तो पास ऑन कर देते हैं ना बैंक से, सेविंग्स रेट पे पास ऑन कर देते हैं ना ये। repo rate can influence this, repo rate can influence this, it might not be able to perfectly influence, perfect influence नहीं होगा but influence तो करेगा। मैंने आपसे क्या पूछा था, repo rate can change what? It can change your interest rate. It can change your interest rate ना। समझ आ रही है ये बात? अगर आपने प्रीवियस क्लासेस रिवाइज नहीं करी हैं आज, अब these things will get slightly complicated and you will not understand, but this is fairly easy to understand। इसमें क्या ही है, if repo rate is higher, if repo rate is higher, मैं बैंक हूं, repo rate हाई है तो मैं आरबीआई से तो लोन ले नहीं सकता, मुझे लोग से डिपॉजिट लेनी पड़ेंगी, तो मुझे ज्यादा पैसे देने पड़ेंगे लोगों को, राइट। सो repo rate can influence this, it can influence this, right? People want to take a loan from the bank, इस पे भी तो एक इंटरेस्ट रेट लगेगा। repo rate can influence this also, it can influence, influence might not be perfect, influence might not be perfect, है ना। but people have cash in pocket, लोगों के पास पॉकेट में कैश पड़ा है, कितना भी इंटरेस्ट रेट हो, डज दैट डिटरमाइन माई स्पेंडिंग डिसीजन ऑफ दिस एवेन्यू? डज माई, इफ आई एम हैबिचुअल, अगर मेरा करेंसी डिपॉजिट रेशियो 10% है, मैं 10% हमेशा कैश ही रखता हूं, राइट, मैं 10% हमेशा कैश ही रखता हूं, देन विल इट इन्फ्लुएंस माई स्पेंडिंग ऑन दिस? नो। रिपो रेट कुछ भी हो जाए, कैश पे तो जीरो ही मिल रहा है ना, कैश विल नॉट गेट अप्रिशिएटेड, कैश डज नॉट गेट अप्रिशिएटेड, कैश विल स्टे एट जीरो। सो कैश स्पेंडिंग तो मेरी सेम ही है ना, आई विल स्टिल स्पेंड एज मच इन कैश ना। तो अब इस लॉजिक में, इस पूरी राम कथा में देयर इज अनदर प्रॉब्लम ना, दैट पीपल विल स्पेंड यूजिंग देयर कैश, people will spend using cash, and this sort of spending, this impact on aggregate demand is not under RBI's control. RBI cannot control this. So if you are a high cash economy, right, if we are a high cash economy, then RBI's control over your spending is lesser. अगर एक हाई कैश इकोनॉमी है, ब्लैक मनी बेस्ड इकोनॉमी है, नुआंस करते हैं हम इसको थोड़ा, इफ दिस इज अ हाई कैश बेस्ड इकोनॉमी, पीपल लाइक टू कीप मनी एज कैश, पीपल लाइक टू, आपको क्या बताया था, इज देयर अ सिंगल फैक्टर दैट इन्फ्लुएंसेस दिस? दिस इज मेनली अ बिहेवियरल फैक्टर। यू कैन इन्फ्लुएंस दिस विद इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, बट यू कैन नॉट कंट्रोल दिस विद इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, है ना। if you are a high cash economy, if your behavior is of high cash economy, then RBI's control of your spending is lesser. समझ आई ये बात? Is this logic clear? Is this logic clear? अब इसको थोड़ा और नुआंस करते हैं, इसको थोड़ा और नुआंस करते हैं. This is my example. I have rupees 100 in my savings account. All of it is in the savings account. This month I know I have to spend 50 rupees on food, 30 rupees on, let's say, buying pens या any luxury item, कुछ भी 30 rupees on movies, let's say. ठीक है, मेरे पास 100 रुपीज सेविंग्स बैंक में है, मेरी सैलरी आ गई 100 रुपीज. मेरा प्लान है इस मंथ नाउ दैट आई विल स्पेंड 50 रुपीज ऑन फूड, 30 रुपीज ऑन मूवीज, 20 रुपीज आई विल सेव. जैसे ही जिस दिन मेरी सैलरी आई, बिकॉज ऑफ रिपो रेट चेंजिंग, रिपो रेट इंक्रीजेस, तो सेविंग्स अकाउंट में जो इंटरेस्ट रेट था वो भी इंक्रीज हो गया. एंड फ्रॉम 5% इंटरेस्ट नाउ आई सडनली स्टार्ट गेटिंग 10% interest. From 5% interest, suddenly I start getting 10% interest. So now my tendency to spend from this savings account will be lesser. अब मैं कम स्पेंड करना चाहूंगा, मुझे 10% इंटरेस्ट रेट मिल रहा है. Yes or no? I will want to spend less. यार प्लीज याशी डोंट स्पैम द चैट, आई एम ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन समथिंग. आप बीच में मत आओ प्लीज, है ना. यू कैन आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन लेटर. I have said this so many times. मैं कुछ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एक्सप्लेन करना चाह रहा हूं. डोंट स्पैम प्लीज, है ना. माई टेंडेंसी टू स्पेंड नाउ विल बी लोअर. नाउ इफ माई टेंडेंसी टू स्पेंड इज लोअर, विच ऑफ दीज एक्सपेंडिचर्स विल आई नॉट डू? मैं कम स्पेंड करना चाहता हूं, इनमें से कौन सा एक्सपेंडिचर मैं नहीं करूंगा? Which of these expenditures I will not do? I will not do this expenditure. I will not do this expenditure. Can I actually change this? मैं ये expenditure change कर सकता हूं क्या? Can I change this expenditure? No. Interest rate बढ़ गया तो मैं खाना खाना थोड़ी कम कर दूंगा. Now, such type of expenditures like food, do I actually have any discretion here? मेरे पास यहां पर कोई डिस्क्रिप्शन है क्या कि मेरे को कितना स्पेंड करना है? इंटरेस्ट रेट कितना भी हो, डू आई एक्चुअली हैव एनी डिस्क्रिप्शन हियर ऑफ हाउ मच आई एम गोइंग टू स्पेंड इन दिस केस? नो, आई डोंट. आई हैव टू स्पेंड 50 रुपीज ऑन फूड बिकॉज दैट इज माई डाइटरी इनटेक. मे बी आई कैन मेक इट 49, मे बी मैं 1-2 मील कम खा लूं. This sort of spending on essential items, my spending on essential items is called non-discretionary spending. Non-discretionary spending. I'm spending, but there is no real discretion here. Can RBI control my non-discretionary spending? क्या RBI मेरा non-discretionary spending control कर सकता है? Does RBI have the ability to control my non-discretionary spending? No. If I can't control, how can RBI control? है ना. अब हमारी जो लंबी सी राम कथा है उसमें क्या है कि RBI will increase the repo rate. This will increase, or this will rather decrease the supply of loanable funds. Banks get less loanable funds, so they will give expensive loans, people will have less loans, people will spend less. Because of this, aggregate demand will come down. Because of this, inflation will come down. What are the various problems at this level? First, how much of this is actually deposit based money and how much of this is loanable money? This is the first problem. Second problem, how much of this spending is cash based? If I am a high cash economy, अगर मेरी इकोनॉमी में बहुत ज्यादा ब्लैक मनी है, ब्लैक मनी कैन नॉट इवन बी डिपॉजिटेड इन बैंक, ब्लैक मनी हम देखेंगे, राइट? तो ये प्रॉब्लम है. Then how much of this is discretionary spending? How much is non-discretionary spending? This also creates a problem. All of these three things create a problem of transmission of monetary policy. If monetary policy transmission is low, if transmission of monetary policy is low, RBI's ability to control inflation is also low. Transmission of monetary policy is low, RBI's ability to control inflation is also low. ये जो पूरा प्रोसेस आरबीआई कर रहा है, इसमें उसका कंट्रोल कम हो जाता है. इज दिस क्लियर? समझ आया? व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स इन्वॉल्व्ड? बैंक्स कितना डिपॉजिट ले रहे हैं, कितनी कैश बेस्ड इकोनॉमी है, व्हाट इज डिस्क्रेशनरी एंड नॉन डिस्क्रेशनरी नेचर ऑफ स्पेंडिंग, हाउ इज ट्रांसमिशन हैपनिंग? इज ऑल ऑफ दिस क्लियर? When I explain something with so much enthusiasm, you should understand why I am doing it now. अरे ये दूसरा स्टूडियो है, क्रोम मैंने इंस्टॉल नहीं किया, दूसरा स्टूडियो है. रीड द क्वेश्चन. GS3 2024 this year. ऐसे ही नहीं मेंस में सिलेक्ट हो रहे लोग हमारे से. दिस इज व्हाई सारथी IAS हैज अ गुड रिजल्ट, बिकॉज वी वर्क ऑन आवर कंटेंट. एंड व्हेन you see questions like this, now you'll write a very good answer. You know the entire kahani. This is effectively the answer of this question. Persistent high food inflation, why is it there, was given in this year's economic survey. Right? Food is highly non-discretionary spending nature. Food is completely non-discretionary in nature. There is a huge cash-based economy in India. Banks are loaning mainly out of deposits, not from this. Therefore, RBI's effectiveness to control this type of inflation is fairly low. Therefore, food inflation to come down, for food inflation to come down, you actually need a supply side intervention. More food needs to be grown. फूड का अगर मैं सप्लाई डिमांड ग्राफ बनाऊं, डिमांड कंट्रोल करना फूड की बहुत मुश्किल है. आप लोगों की डिमांड कैसे कंट्रोल कर सकते हो फूड की? डिमांड ऑफ फूड, नाउ राइट दिस आंसर इन इकोनॉमिक टर्म्स. द डिमांड ऑफ फूड is non-discretionary, therefore it does not respond to price. Since food is the most essential item, the Graph of food looks like this. Price quantity graph of food looks like this. What type of graph is this? Very inelastic to price. Price change might be huge. Quantity change is very little. It is very inelastic. Right? Food is non-discretionary spending. Spending on food cannot be controlled through interest rates. If I have to change food inflation now, this is supply of food. If I have to control food prices, the best way is to move this graph outwards. I have to produce more food. Since the demand of food is relatively inelastic, the spending is non-discretionary, the cash in the economy is high, and banks actually loan out from their deposits. The only way to control food inflation in India is to control supply side factors which are outside the purview of the RBI. Therefore, RBI's monetary policy is very ineffective when it comes to food inflation. Exactly this was asked. समझ आई ये बात? Exactly this was asked. Is the logic now clear? समझ आया? This is why we study the topics in detail. ठीक है? चलो. Now there is one more topic to study today. How does RBI increase the effectiveness of monetary policy? How does RBI increase effectiveness of monetary policy? ठीक है, आरबीआई कैसे मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी की इफेक्टिवनेस इंक्रीज करता है ये हम देखेंगे, बट वील सी दैट टुमारो, बिकॉज अगेन आई कैन सी स्टिल अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव नॉट जॉइंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट सर्वर इशू. वो टॉपिक भी मैं प्रॉपर्ली एक्सप्लेन करना चाहता हूं, सो वी विल डू दैट ऑन मंडे, नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. अब करते हैं वो काम जिसके लिए कर रहे थे आप सब इंतजार. लेट अस हैव अ टेस्ट of economy of 47 questions. Some questions might be here and there. एक दो questions ऐसे होंगे जो हमने नहीं पढ़े होंगे. I will ask you to stop. मैं कह दूंगा कि आप मत, वो वाले questions आप इग्नोर कर देना, बाकी हम टेस्ट में करेंगे. I am giving you a 5-minute break. Refresh yourself. This is going to be a long test. Treat it like prelims. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपको यहां पे क्वेश्चन है, दिस इज नॉट अ क्विज. क्विज होती है कि आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन, आई विल आंसर इट. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन है, मैंने पूछा, आप जवाब दे दोगे, सही गलत डजंट मैटर. हियर दिस इज अ टेस्ट. इफ देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन एंड यू डोंट नो द आंसर, बेटर टू राइट स्किप. आप अपनी आंसर शीट में, आप अपनी नोटबुक में, यू विल राइट 3 थिंग्स. क्वेश्चन 1 के सामने यू कैन ईदर राइट वन ऑफ द ऑप्शंस और यू कैन राइट स्किप, and you will calculate your proper score out of 47. आपके 47 में से वो स्कोर नहीं है जो आपने ठीक कर दिया. Out of 47, the score that you did correct, that is not your score. Negatives भी हटाओ. There is 2/3 negative mark, 1/3 negative marking. So for a correct answer, give yourself +2. For a wrong answer, give yourself -0.67. For a skipped answer, give yourself 0. This is how we will calculate your score, and then we will see what your score was in the test. ठीक है, तो आई एम गिविंग यू अ 5-minute ब्रेक. इसमें पढ़ना मत, जस्ट रिफ्रेश योरसेल्फ. लंबा टेस्ट है, 1 घंटा टेस्ट चलेगा अभी, राइट? इट इज गोइंग टू बी अ लॉन्ग टेस्ट. टेक 5 minutes and refresh. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Shreyas, the answer to your doubt is that at any point multiple factors are acting. Of course, raising the minimum wages will shift the aggregate supply curve, but the point is, when we were considering minimum wages, we were reading microeconomics. Remember that macroeconomics was read later. At any time, the macroeconomics aggregate demand, aggregate supply model will be impacted by various things. Generally, what we see in the question is one thing is asked at a point. If many variables are asked, how will you answer? है ना? चलो start करते हैं. Question 1. Start. चलो, timer will not fit here. Start. First question. मैं हट जाता हूं. मेरी शक्ल बहुत देख ली आपने, अब आप क्वेश्चंस देखो. Okay, time up. Next question. Fairly simple. Most people have given the right answer. Please participate more. Please participate more. इस क्वेश्चन में, when we come to this question, I will explain you something called as recency bias. ठीक है, I will explain to you something called recency. या चलो मैं I will just explain the questions as we go along, है ना? नहीं तो बाद में बहुत आप भूल भी जाते हो. मैंने अभी आपको ये टॉपिक से उल्टा कुछ पढ़ाया है. I have just told you something opposite to this topic. That does not make the second statement incorrect. Now read it carefully. In the post-pandemic recent past, many central banks worldwide had carried out interest rates hike. We know this statement to be true. Right? Pandemic came, people carried out interest rates hike. ठीक है? Even if you don't know this to be true, देखो, ये एक current affairs की statement है. This is a statement of current affairs. This is a fact. Even if you did not know this will not come in the exam again. But conceptually, in the pandemic, this was done. Right? And logical also. Why was it done? Because central banks generally assume that they have the ability to counteract the rising consumer prices via monetary policy means. Because से भी समझ आ रहा है? So if I write the word because here, this becomes an explanation also. The answer to this statement is A. ठीक है? ये हमने पढ़ा है ना, पोस्ट पैंडेमिक में क्या हो रहा था? पोस्ट पैंडेमिक prices were high. So inflation was high. Inflation high पे what is the response of the central bank? Raise the policy rate, raise the interest rate, raise the repo rate. This was done because they assume. देखो, अब look at how beautifully UPSC has put this statement. Central banks generally assume. Why generally assume? Because there is a problem in transmission of monetary policy also. Central bank को लगता है that they have the ability to counteract the rising consumer prices via monetary policy means. Generally assume that they have this ability. They generally think they have this ability, but there is this problem. Answer is A. Correct है तो +1, wrong है +2, wrong है तो -0.6, skip किया है तो 0. Keep adding your score. Next question. Dheeraj, what is the job of RBI? फर्स्ट, ग्रोथ और इन्फ्लेशन. डाउट्स मत देखो यार, एक्चुअली डोंट राइट डाउट्स. Solve this question. 1 minute start from now. Sorry about that. Good. See, this question is merely a question of how you decide to read it. RBI decides to adopt an expansionist monetary policy. Which of the following would it not do? पहले हम देख लेते हैं which of the following it would do. RBI चाहता है expansionary monetary policy. RBI wants to increase the money supply. If RBI decides that I will cut the SLR is cut, supply of loanable funds will increase, money supply will increase. So RBI would do step 1. RBI would do. MCQ को सॉल्व करना सिखा रहा हूं आपको यहां पे. अब देखो, RBI would do 1. पूछ क्या रहा है? What RBI would not do. That means 1 is wrong. 1 is wrong, 1 is wrong, 1 is wrong. Answer is 2. I will not even read further. मैं आगे पढ़ूंगा भी नहीं. अगर मुझे पहला आता है मैं आगे पढ़ूंगा भी नहीं. Now I can check. I can still check the others, but it's not a big deal. देखो, increasing the MSF means supply of loanable funds will decrease, money supply will decrease. RBI does not want to do this when it wants to follow an expansionist monetary policy. This is the correct answer. Cut the repo rate, reduce the repo rate, supply of loanable funds will increase, money supply will increase. This also RBI would not want to do. Oh, sorry, this RBI would want to do. Right? Answer is 2 only. ठीक है, नॉट नहीं पढ़ा होगा, मुझे पता था बहुत लोगों ने यहाँ पे नॉट नहीं पढ़ा होगा. वेरी गुड. आंसर इज बी. Like we have seen, only with this statement you can come to answer B. Again, +2, -0.67 or 0. Next. श्रुति एंड एमिर, अगर आप लोगों ने नॉट इग्नोर किया, ध्यान से पढ़ो ना क्वेश्चन यार. रीड केयरफुली. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Monetary Policy Committee? It decides the RBI's benchmark interest rate. Benchmark interest rate is RBI's policy rate. Policy rate is repo rate. This statement is correct. Even if you did not know this word, learn it now. 12-member body? Absolutely not. Under chairmanship of finance minister? Absolutely not. Answer should be 1 only, A. Now, just one thing for future. There might be exceptions to this rule. I'm repeating, there might be exceptions to this rule. But generally, a committee is headed by a civil servant and a council is headed by a minister. Generally. तो अगर कुछ समझ ना आए, पहले क्वेश्चन नॉर्मली सॉल्व करो. नहीं समझ आए, then you can do this. ठीक है? Question 4. This we will ignore for now. This we will ignore for now. Although जो मैं आपको टॉपिक अभी पढ़ा रहा था, the topic that I was teaching you right now of transmission of monetary policy, MCLR is a step taken by RBI for transmission of monetary policy. For better transmission of RBI's monetary policy, MCLR was introduced. I was telling you I will teach this topic in a bit. आप यहां देखोगे ट्रांसमिशन ऑफ मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, ये आपके नोट्स में भी है. बेस रेट, MCLR. MCLR was a step taken to increase the transmission of monetary policy. Right? Answer here is C. Both these statements are correct. We can read this. हम कल पढ़ेंगे ही वैसे MCLR. Guidelines help improve the transparency in methodology followed by banks for determining interest rate. Help ensure availability of bank credit and interest rate which are fair to the borrowers. Transmission अच्छी होगी तो fair भी होगा. Answer here is C, but we have not seen this concept, so this question ignore. इस question में किसी को कोई marks नहीं है. Next. Let's see this. Question 5. This you have to solve. Good. Most people have given the right answer. पहले समझते हैं what is the meaning of basis points. ये concept समझते हैं. If I increase the interest rate from 1% to 1.5%, I can say that I have increased the interest rate by 0.5%, or I can say I have increased the interest rate by 50 basis points. Basis points. 50 basis points. 0.5 को मैं 50 basis points पे लिख सकता हूं. 100 basis points means 1%. In this case, what is the question now saying? SLR has been reduced by 50 basis points. That means SLR has been reduced by 0.5%. SLR is down. Money supply is increased. Supply of loanable funds has increased. Now let's see. Supply of loanable funds increasing and money supply increasing. Money supply increasing will impact our aggregate demand. Aggregate demand increasing will mean more growth. है ना? अब देखो how beautifully UPSC makes its MCQ options. India's GDP growth rate increases drastically. If this word drastically were not to be written here, अगर यहां पर ये word drastically ना लिखा गया होता, this first statement would also have been right. Drastically लिख के मेरे को एक बात बताओ, अगर उन्होंने यही लिखना था, why was this word important? ना लिखते drastically, India's GDP growth rate increases, statement would have been correct. ये drastically लिखा ही गया है to get this statement wrong. ऐसे बहुत words होते हैं MCQs में. ऐसे बहुत वर्ड्स होते हैं एमसीक्यूज में जो लिखे जाते हैं टू मेक द ऑप्शन रॉन्ग. लर्न टू आइडेंटिफाई दीज वर्ड्स. दिस इज रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट. इफ ड्रास्टिकली इज रिटन, इफ दिस वाज ओनली इंक्रीजेस ग्रेजुअली, देन इट वुड हैव बीन राइट स्टेटमेंट. तो ये तो गलत हो गया. फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स मे ब्रिंग मोर कैपिटल इनटू आवर कंट्री. कोई लिंक नहीं है. Scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rates. अब ये देखो, अब मैं आपको दिखाता जाऊंगा ऐसे और वर्ड्स. Scheduled commercial banks, अब देखो, now this is a second example of such word. देखो, scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rates. क्यों? क्योंकि मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी की ट्रांसमिशन परफेक्ट नहीं है. scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rates. May, if the transmission is proper. They might not also. यहां पर ये वर्ड may क्यों लिखा गया है? This word may is written to make this option correct. नहीं तो मुझे बात बताओ, scheduled commercial banks will cut their lending rates लिखने में क्या प्रॉब्लम थी? Every word is written in the UPSC prelims paper with some or the other logic behind it. Otherwise, it's not written. UPSC will not waste ink. May cut their lending rates. It may drastically reduce liquidity to banking system. Anyway, SLR going down will increase liquidity, na? Increase the liquidity, increase the supply of loanable funds. तो वैसे ही ये गलत है, उसको और ज्यादा गलत करने के लिए ड्रास्टिकली लिखा गया, तो वो ऑप्शन तो देखेंगे ही. आंसर हियर इज सी अगेन, +2 -0.670. लुक एट दिस क्वेश्चन नाउ, क्वेश्चन 6. लुक एट क्वेश्चन 6 नाउ. ये बहुत आसान क्वेश्चन है, गलत नहीं करेगा कोई. Very good. Most people have given right answer. Debt and revenue, tax and spending are part of the tool called fiscal policy. बैंक रेट होता है, ओपन मार्केट ऑपरेशंस बिल्कुल होते हैं. आंसर इज सी 1 and 2. क्वेश्चन 6 आंसर इज सी. आगे देखते हैं क्वेश्चन 7. आंसर दिस. Question 7. Very easy question. इसमें ज्यादा टाइम नहीं दूंगा मैं आपको, जल्दी से आंसर करो. वेरी इजी, पढ़ा है हमने. आंसर इज ए, है ना? वी हैव रेड दिस. आंसर इज ए, पढ़ भी रहे हैं, नॉट दैट डिफिकल्ट, सो नो एक्सप्लेनेशन हियर, है ना? क्वेश्चन 8. अभी भी आप वर्ड्स का लॉजिक बहुत लोग नहीं समझे. Many of you have not understood the logic of these words. चलो आंसर देखते हैं. In context of the Indian economy, which of the following is or are purposes of statutory reserve requirements? What are statutory reserve requirements? Cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory means given in law, reserve requirements. Let's see. To enable the central bank to control the amount of advances made by the banks are loans that banks can create. Absolutely. Central bank wants to control how many loans the bank can give. Why? To make sure that people's deposits with bank are safe and liquid. This is also correct. Safe करता है deposit को, liquid करता है, आप जाओ deposit immediately आपको मिल जाए. This is one purpose it is solving. So 1 is correct, 2 is correct. To prevent the commercial banks from making excessive profits. Now, यहां पे कंफ्यूजन हुई होगी कई लोगों को. CRR does prevent the bank from making some level of profits. It impacts the bank from making profits. है ना. CRR बढ़ाएंगे, बैंक कम लोन कर पाएगा, कम लोन कर पाएगा, कम पैसे बनाएगा बैंक, है ना. Is this the purpose of CRR? ये काम है क्या CRR का कि बैंक प्रॉफिट ना बनाए? क्या इसके लिए CRR बनाया जा रहा है? Or is there some other reason? This is not the purpose of CRR. राइट. पहली बात तो ये. दूसरी बात, प्राइमरी नहीं, दिस इज नॉट द पर्पस एट ऑल. इसके लिए थोड़ी CRR बना रहा है आरबीआई कि बैंक प्रॉफिट ना बना ले. एज आरबीआई, अगर आप आरबीआई गवर्नर होते, वुड यू वांट बैंक्स टू मेक प्रॉफिट और नॉट मेक प्रॉफिट? You would obviously want banks should make profit, not excessive profits. है ना? Why is this word written here? क्यों लिखा है ये word? Anyway, if 1 and 2 are correct, so only this option and this option are remaining. 3 is wrong. 3 is wrong. इस 3 का काम प्रॉफिट रेगुलेट करना नहीं है. 3 का काम, इसका CRR का काम प्रॉफिट रेगुलेट करना नहीं है. ये है प्रॉफिट कंट्रोल करने के लिए. थोड़ी कह रहा है कि बैंक प्रॉफिट ना बनाए इसलिए मैं CRR बढ़ा देता हूं. आरबीआई विल नेवर से दिस. एनीवे, आंसर तो आ चुका है वैसे. लेट्स रीड द लास्ट स्टेटमेंट. टू फोर्स द बैंक्स टू हैव sufficient vault cash to meet their day-to-day requirements. We have not read this yet. We have not read this yet. We have not read scheduled banks. We have not read vault cash. But some words are written simply to ensure that the statement becomes completely wrong. Although ये statement आपको तब समझ आएगी जब हम banking पढ़ लेंगे from the next class, तब आपको समझ आएगी. But even if you didn't understand this, you know 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is wrong. So 3 is wrong, 3 is wrong, 1 and 2 are correct. Answer is B. You can still get the answer. You can still get the answer. Even if you don't read the fourth statement, you can get the answer here. ठीक है? चलो next. Question 9. ये करो क्वेश्चन 9. ये भी आसान क्वेश्चन है. RBI has increased the bank rate. RBI has increased the bank rate. Increase in bank rate is similar to, bank rate किसके लिए था? Loans to banks. Supply of loanable funds will decrease. Money supply will decrease. RBI is following a tight money policy. RBI wants money in the economy to reduce. Tight money policy. Right? समझ आया? If supply of loanable funds is decreasing, market rate of interest is likely to rise. अगर फर्स्ट ऑप्शन में कंफ्यूजन हो रही है तो. But I have studied easy monetary. I don't know what that comment means. Anyway, next. Next question. Very simple. जल्दी से जवाब देंगे, कोई एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं दूंगा मैं इसकी. Very quickly we will see the answers. Very good. Purchase and sale of government securities by RBI. If CRR is lowered by RBI, supply of money in the economy will. इसमें जल्दी करेंगे यार. प्लीज थोड़ा जल्दी करो. Very good. CRR is lower, money supply will increase. Quickly. I don't even think I need to explain this. I don't think I need to explain this. Cash and total assets. Cash and total assets. Cash and total assets. Assets are cash in hand and total assets. चलो सोचो इस क्वेश्चन को जरा. रीड इट अगेन. Read it again. I'm just coming. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just coming. Now देखो पढ़ो इसको ध्यान से. What is cash in hand of banks? क्या है ये? Cash in hand of banks is what? What are cash in hand of banks? Banks को क्या को कैश मिलता है? Their deposits. This is some of these deposits, some of this cash in hand must be maintained as assets. What are assets of bank? What are assets of bank? What are the assets of banks? Loans are asset, government security is asset, gold is asset, है ना? जितनी भी ये सारी चीजें बैंक्स रखते हैं, जैसे कि गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज, जैसे कि गोल्ड, जैसे कि ट्रेजरी बिल्स, ये सारे एसेट्स हैं, जो लोन्स बैंक देते हैं वो भी एसेट्स हैं. Required to maintain a certain ratio. There must be a certain ratio. You can't make all of these as loans. Some of this must go into other assets also. आपने कैश पढ़ा और सीआरआर कर दिया. Is this not what you did? You read cash, you read assets, you went for CRR. This is what you did. And मैं आपको अगर यहां prompt कर रहा हूं, I don't need to explain this. So simple. है ना? वो that does not mean the question is simple. Read carefully. Next. Now this question is actually simple. So this question is actually simple. This is actually simple. I'm not lying now. आगे चलते हैं. इसमें तो कोई लंबी चौड़ी कहानी नहीं है. Cash reserve ratio is held with RBI, no? Cash reserve ratio is held with RBI. Cash with RBI, है ना? चलो next. Something is wrong with this question. Just 1 second. Again, something is wrong with this question. This not should not be here. I'll just check this. Just wait for this. मेरे हिसाब से there's something wrong here. रुक जाते हैं. We will come back to this. We will come back to this. We'll come back to this. Something wrong in this question. Let's just leave this for now. Let's do this. This also we have not done. This we have. I will just check that question. We'll do it next time. This also we have not done. We were reading something like I told you. I wanted to explain this topic to you. Market sterilization scheme. याद है हमने क्लास के स्टार्ट में we discussed this. I was going to teach you market sterilization scheme, a special type of open market operation. We've not done this topic, so we'll leave this also. But we have discussed this. हमने आज ये discuss किया है. I will teach you this topic in the next class. This is one more type of open market operation. Okay, let's do this. To meet SLR, commercial banks can use cash only. Wrong. This we know. 1 cross, 2 and 3, only 2. So second is definitely right. I don't need to read the second statement. I'll still read. SLR is maintained by banks with themselves. This is correct. Restricts the bank. SLR restricts the bank leverage in pumping more money into the economy. Of course, because of SLR, if there was no SLR, banks could pump more money into the economy. But since there is SLR, banks cannot pump more money into the economy. Answer is C. Next, legal tender money. Fairly simple. Creditor is under compulsion to accept in settlement of his claims. Right? Money that cannot be refused in accepting debts. Right? Debt extinguish करने के लिए जिसको आप लीगली मना नहीं कर सकते, that is legal tender. Next. Money multiplier. And take note of this question. Same question, not even words were changed, came twice. Same, word by word, same came twice. Good, very simple. We've read this before. Money multiplier is inversely proportional to the currency deposit ratio. If banking habit of people will increase, currency deposit ratio will decrease, money multiplier will increase. Answer is C. Question 19. Same question. Same question. This is the exact same question. In this case, currency deposit ratio will increase, money multiplier will decrease. Answer is B. Next. This we did not discuss. Actually, I was going to, we have to discuss this, but okay, fair enough. We'll just look at this question. We can now come to this topic, so I'll tell you this. This is just a simple fact, right? As the most widely used is M3. For looking at anything, we look at M3. We look at, for looking at, this is a fact. This is not a state. आप क्यों answer दे रहे हो? This is a fact. We have not discussed this. We had to. Couple of things were left. So M3 is the one that is the most widely used. आजकल जैसे अगर हमें मनी सप्लाई आज काउंट करनी है, we can count as M1, as M2, as M3, as M4. RBI and the government generally use M3 to count money supply. Money supply count करने के लिए generally M3 is used. So when we write MS is equal to M into M0, the MS that we mean here is M3. M3 is equal to M into M0. We generally use this. We can use any, but this is the one that is used the most. So money multiplier is also sometimes written, you will find in some books written as M3 by M0. Okay, this is just a fact. So it's not that important a question, but anyway, let's come to this. 21. This is also easy. We have read the characteristics of money. We have read what must be true for something to be called as money. Characteristics of money, we know. What is called as money, we know. Answer is D. It is used for regulating consumption. This is not a function of money. All three are. Intermediate in exchange process, yes. Storage, yes. Unit of account, yes. This is not function of money. Regulation of consumption is not the purpose. This was CAPF 2022 question. For anything to be recognized as money, it needs to have which of the following characters? We have read this. Solve this now. Good. Again, most people are giving the right answer. Not a very difficult question. Intermediate in exchange, yes. Standard unit of quoting, yes. Easily divisible, yes. Higher value in alternative uses. Money spent for, if I spend it for cash, for let's say a pen, 100 rupees should have value of 100 rupees. If I spend it for car, 100 rupees should have value of 150 rupees. Of course, that's not true. This is wrong. You eliminate 4. You eliminate 4. 1, 2, and 3 are correct. Answer is C. Okay. 23. This is a slightly difficult question. I will give you time. ध्यान से पढ़ना. Read every word and write this. Yuta, very good. Very good. Most people have given the right answer. M3, if I measure, it is currency in circulation plus demand deposits plus time deposit in bank. Even if I measure as M1, it is currency in circulation plus demand deposits. What I have done, I have reduced this by 1 lakh. I have increased this by 1 lakh. That means no change is going to happen in the immediate term. Word immediate was very important here. What happens in the long run? I have removed it from my deposit account. That means bank will now have lesser money to lend. That means bank will have lesser money to lend. That means money multiplier will reduce. That means in the later time, it can have an impact on money supply. In the later times, it can have an impact on money supply. Immediate impact will not be there. Every word is written carefully. Right? Answer is D. Carefully पढ़ना इसको भी. This question is deliberately made confusing. Read carefully. Decreasing, Shraddha, it's decreasing, not increasing. Decreasing order. मानसी जी, डिक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर है, डिक्रीजिंग. ठीक है, देखते हैं. Which is most liquid here? Currency is maximum liquidity here. Time deposit with the bank is least liquidity here. Savings deposit and demand deposit are effectively the same thing. If I have to divide between 1 and 3, it will be very difficult for me. So let me check. Any order in decreasing order should be 4, something, something, and 2. First should be 4, last should be 2. First should be 4, last should be 2. ये डिक्रीजिंग था भाई, डिक्रीजिंग. इतने लोगों ने सी आंसर दिया इसका. बस डिक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर, राइट. नेक्स्ट. Carefully read. Carefully read. Careful reading, careful. Now, percentage by which borrower pays back exceeds the money that was borrowed. Let's see. I give you a loan of 100 rupees. You pay me back 105 rupees. 5% is the percentage by which your payback is higher. यहां पर कहीं भी इन्फ्लेशन की बात हुई है? नहीं. This is merely the nominal interest rate. Real interest rate would be inflation would be subtracted from 5%, then we would have seen interest rate, real interest rate, है ना. यहां इन्फ्लेशन की तो कोई बात ही नहीं हुई. Nominal minus inflation is real interest rate. But inflation तो डिस्कस ही नहीं हुआ ना क्वेश्चन में. They are just asking what is this rate called, है ना. Next. Again, this question we will not see right now because we have not studied foreign exchange. This we will see after market stabilization scheme. अभी हमने नहीं देखा ये, so we will not look at this question right now. Let's do this 27. Fairly easy. Right? No, not a lot to discuss here. 28. Make the graph. Make the graph. Don't just write the answer. Make the graph. Money supply is same. Demand for money has increased. Interest rate in the economy will increase. $29. This we will not see. We have not studied digital rupee yet, so we will not see. This also we will not see. We have not read bitcoins yet. This we will see. Read carefully. Read carefully. Read the first statement. If inflation is too high, RBI is likely to buy government securities. Inflation already high hai. RBI goes and says we will buy government securities. RBI is buying an asset. They will give money in return of this asset. This will further increase the money supply in the economy. This will further raise the aggregate demand. This will make inflation even higher. Right? So this statement is wrong. अब दोबारा देखो स्टेटमेंट को. Now look at it again. मैं कहता if inflation is high, RBI is going to buy government securities. There might be some other reason for the RBI to buy government securities. हो सकता है some other logic is playing. There are so many factors in an economy. ये वर्ड यहां क्यों लिखा है? If inflation is too high, to make this absolutely wrong. If inflation is high लिख देते. अगर if inflation is high लिखते तो कंट्रोवर्सी हो सकती थी. कितना हाई? क्या पता ग्रोथ की तो दिक्कत नहीं है. टू हाई लिख के प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व है ना. 32. ये तो जल्दी करो यार. इट्स नॉट इवन अ क्वेश्चन वर्थ द यूपी. और भाई है प्रीलिम्स का क्वेश्चन. प्रीलिम्स में ऐसे क्वेश्चन भी आते हैं. जस्ट क्विकली बी डन विद दिस. नो नॉट इवन वर्थ सॉल्विंग. हाँ ऑफ कोर्स. कम से कम 300 बार तो मैं नाम ले चुका हूंगा. एवरीबडी इन दी आरबीआई स्नीजिंग है ना. एनीवे 33. Now read this carefully. Actually, again, we have not read inflation indexing of wages. Cannot see this question yet. Still, try and solve it. नहीं होता तो भी कोई बात नहीं. Just try and solve it. Try and solve it. आपको नहीं पता inflation indexing wages, I know. I know fiscal stimulus भी आपको नहीं पता. Try solving it. अभी तक सबने सही जवाब दिया है. वेरी गुड. Higher interest rate, supply of loanable funds, money supply down. This cannot be the right answer. Reduction of money supply cannot cause demand pull inflation. Just eliminate option 5. Even if you don't know anything else, you knew expansionary policies, but you knew about 5, आप इसको eliminate कर लो तो आंसर आ जाएगा. Now this is also another important lesson. Sometimes, no matter how much I teach you, there will be some options that you have never heard about. Right? There will be some options you have never heard about. Don't panic कि मुझे नहीं आता ये क्या लिख दिया. Read everyone carefully. Step by step process. Expansionary policies will cause demand pull inflation. Yes. Fiscal stimulus. Yes. This you don't know. We'll read this. No. Purchasing power higher. Yes. Will this cause it? सीधा no. इसमें नहीं भी पता चल रहा तो right. Okay. Skip. Just write this. यहाँ नहीं पता चल रहा right. Skip. Come to this. No. Now I know 1 is correct. 2 is correct. 5 is wrong. Now I'll try and solve. 5 wrong से ही question हो जाता है ना. So at least read the question fully. Don't quit बीच में. चलो yes Rashi, please add the marks of previous question also. It was solvable. Very good यार. मुझे तो नहीं उम्मीद थी तुम ये सही करोगे. It's good. What is the meaning of the word recession? Recession means what? Aggregate demand is low. What do I need to do? Either increase this, increase this, increase this. बाकी कोई ऑप्शन इसमें फिट नहीं बैठेगा. आप सॉल्व करके देख सकते हो. नेक्स्ट दिस क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो बी केयरफुल. ये क्वेश्चन सही होता है तो गिव योर सेल्फ 4 मार्क्स. दीज आर 2 क्वेश्चंस. 2 बार आए ये. अगर ये सही होता है गिव योर सेल्फ 4 मार्क्स. Again, we have, most of you are giving the right answer. We have not read about public debt. We have not read about public debt. हम पढ़ेंगे next week fiscal policy, then we'll understand. Sorry. Inflationary effects will come from rising money supply. Money supply is equal to money multiplier into M naught. M naught is new money created by RBI. If I am creating new money, it will be very inflationary in effect. This is high powered money. It will be very inflationary in effect. आप ये भी सोचना दैट जब भी मनी सप्लाई को इंक्रीज होना है, मनी मल्टीप्लायर अगर चेंज होगा, लेट्स से मनी मल्टीप्लायर इन द इंडियन इकोनॉमी इज क्लोज टू 4. फ्रॉम 4 इट विल चेंज टू 4.1. 4 इट कैन चेंज टू 4.2. इट कैन नॉट इमीडिएटली चेंज. बहुत सारी चीजें इस पर डिपेंड करती हैं. डिपेंड्स ऑन सीडीआर ऑल्सो, रिजर्व डिपॉजिट रेशियो ऑल्सो. चेंज भी होगा तो परसेंटेजेस में ही चेंज होगा. This you can change. Simply print more notes and buy something from it. You will change this. You print more notes. This you can change rapidly. RBI, if they want, they can double this tonight. This they can't double tonight. This depends on many factors. This is completely in the hands of RBI. है ना? चल next. Solve this question. $36. अरे यार गलत क्यों कर रहे हो यार? भूल गए इन्फ्लेशन का टॉप ना. चलो अब मोस्ट पीपल आर गेटिंग इट राइट. सीपीआई में कंज्यूमर में फूड की इंडेक्स काफी हाई थी. यहां पर WPI में इट वाज वेरी लेस. दिस वाज क्लोज टू 50%. दिस वाज क्लोज टू 25%. वी हैव रेड दिस. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट. सेकंड, WPI does not capture the change in prices of services, which CPI does. Also correct. Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation to decide on changing the key policy rates. What is the target of Monetary Policy Committee? 4 plus minus 2 as measured by CPI combined. Answer is A. थर्ड गलत है ना. WPI क्यों? If they start targeting WPI, they will no longer check the services anyway. है ना? चल next. Very simple, one word. जल्दी से पढ़ो and solve this. You reduce the money supply. You reduce the money supply. You control inflation. Simple. 38. गुड, वेरी गुड. ये भी सही बता रहे हो आप. Nominal rate of interest minus inflation is real rate of interest. As a debtor means I have taken a loan. मैंने लोन लिया है. I am in your debt. You give me 100 rupees. I will pay you back nominal rate of interest. But what am I actually paying back? I am actually paying back this. You are actually getting this. So if the nominal rate of interest is 7%, inflation is 5%, I am actually paying back only 2%. If I'm actually paying back 2%, inflation, if it was 7%, I would actually be paying back 0%. So inflation benefits the debtors. This we have seen before. देख चुके हैं logic. Now, what is a bond? Bond is debt instrument. A bond is a debt instrument. Government says, we are giving you this bond. You give us 100 rupees. This bond has a face value. It has a rate of interest written. What is this rate of interest? Nominal rate of interest. Bond is nothing but a loan. Loan नहीं तो है. Right? If I have purchased government bond, I have purchased government bond, I have lent this money to the government. मैंने government को पैसे lend कर दिए. Government says I will give it back in 1 year at 10%. Government says nominal rate of interest is 10%. Nominal rate of interest is 10%. Inflation is at 6%. What am I actually getting? 4%. If inflation was 8%, what would I actually be getting? 2%. So inflation will not benefit the bond. यहाँ पे bond holders are simply lenders. If inflation is benefiting the debtors, it cannot benefit the bondholder. दोनों को साथ में तो बैठ हो नहीं सकता, right? यहां फायदा किसको हो रहा है? सरकार को फायदा हो रहा है. आंसर इज ए. मेक द ग्राफ बनाना खुद से मत करना. मेक ग्राफ. Rise in general level of prices may be caused by. First case, increase in aggregate demand. Price level will rise. So this is correct and this is also correct. Second case, decrease in aggregate level of output. ये ठीक से बना नहीं है. This is also okay. Price level is also right. This is also right. All are correct. 1, 2 and 3. अब सच बताना कि अगर ग्राफ नहीं बनाते या नहीं पता होता ग्राफ कैसे बनता है, would we be able to solve this question with confidence? अरे increase in money supply will increase aggregate demand, Chitranshi. Increase in money supply, money is cheaper, people will spend more consumption, more investment, more consumption, more investment, more aggregate demand, graph of aggregate demand shifts outside, price levels up. है ना? Now, careful reading. Careful. ध्यान से पढ़ना. Careful reading. Is tobacco a food product? No. Tobacco is used for smoking. It is not a true food product. Eliminate 3, eliminate 3, eliminate 3. This is right. है ना? चलो, next. ध्यान से करना है इस क्वेश्चन को. अगर मेरे YouTube पे वीडियो देखी होती ऑन टाइप्स ऑफ MCQs तो अभी तक इसका आंसर आ चुका होता. In these types of questions, one statement has to be correct. Both cannot be wrong. है ना? One has to be correct, both cannot be wrong. देखते हैं. Second देखते हैं. Monetary policy framework is operated by central government. Wrong. By RBI's monetary policy committee. Just statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 1 is correct. Solve तो ऐसे ही हो जाता. अब पढ़ लेते हैं. Inflation target is decided together by the government and RBI. Remember, there is a inflation targeting framework. There was this agreement between government and RBI. Currently, what is that target? 4 plus minus 2% as measured by CPI combined all India. Right? Simple. Next. (41) 42, sorry, 42. Simple है यार. Just get this done, है ना? Decrease in price level is deflation. To reduce inflation, to combat inflation, I have to reduce the aggregate demand in the economy. Depends on C, I, G and X minus M. This, let's look at this. If I will increase the savings rate, if I will increase the fixed deposit interest rate, the consumption in the economy will go down, aggregate demand will go down, inflation will be controlled. Answer is C. All other effects are inflationary. This effect B, you can be confused with this. You can be confused with B. कि export होगा तो aggregate demand वगैरह. You can be confused, but we will read this when we read international economics. But otherwise, we'll find this out, right? Now, this one we have done before, I think. I think we have done this question before, but still. I think we have done this question before. I'm free के marks दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको test में. We have done this question before. I will not be discussing it. We have done this before. But कर लो marks count कोई नहीं. Situation in an economy growing slowly along with rapid inflation. Growing slowly, rapid inflation. Obviously, we know the definition of this word. Stagnation and inflation are happening together. Answer is stagflation, C. also very easy, just to increase your marks. हाँ, बस आपके नंबर बढ़ाने के लिए क्वेश्चन यहाँ डाला गया है. It's actually a previous year question. It's just previous year question. Fairly simple, है ना? Nothing to worry about here. Deflation is persistent fall in general price level. What is fall in rate of inflation called? इस चीज को क्या बोलते हैं? Fall in rate of inflation को क्या बोलते हैं? I have taught you this. Disinflation. है ना? We have read this. Next. Last question for today. Factual question, but I hope you remember. हम ये भी पढ़ चुके हैं. CPI for industrial workers. Very good. Labor Bureau. है ना? चलो करिए जी अपना स्कोर. प्लीज कैलकुलेट योर स्कोर. I am assuming we must have done around 40 questions. Some were left. है ना बीच में. Please calculate your score. Akansha Singh, all correct. Very good. 41 questions. Okay. 41. Yuta is saying we have done 41. So maximum score is 82 then. 74, 67, 66. Okay. अरे हाँ, then we saw 41. So 74 देख लिया मैंने. Very good. 74. Very good. 47, 74, 70, 78. Just round it off. That's okay. देखो लंबा टेस्ट था, बड़ा टेस्ट था. There were some tough questions also. In my opinion, if you are getting anything above or close to 60, actually 55, अगर आप 55 के ऊपर स्कोर कर रहे हो, I'll tell you a classification. If you are attending the class seriously, and regularly, you will score 45. If you are only reading once post class, you will score somewhere above 55. If you are also revising properly, you will score 65 plus. And बता देना अगर this will be true for 65 plus, this will be true for almost everyone. ये बिल्कुल फिट बैठेगा आपकी उसमें. आपने अटेंड किया है एक बार, आपके 45 के अराउंड मार्क्स आएंगे. आपने एक बार पढ़ा है, आपके 55 के आसपास मार्क्स आएंगे. आपने अच्छे से रिवाइज भी किया है, and you will get 65. Of course, I am not counting the silly mistakes here. मैं silly mistakes को यहाँ काउंट नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Silly mistakes आपने नोट नहीं पढ़ा. I can't do that anything about that. है ना? Now, just before you go, last thing before you go, डर लग रहा है क्या अब इकोनॉमी से? Is economy scary anymore for you? अब डर लग रहा है? We have been studying now for 6 weeks, right? Is there any measure of fear from economy now? Mains में भी देख लिया और pre में भी देख लिया. See, this is primarily my job in the first part of this course. The second part is current affairs. That will be very hard targeting on current affairs. अभी मेरा जॉब आपको concept समझाना था. I am sure that you no longer have a fear of economics concepts, and that was the outcome that I was planning to deliver. I hope that has worked, right? So that's great to see that none of you is any afraid of economy any longer. That's great. ठीक है, please keep revising. Monday मिलते हैं. We'll start with banking then. Have a good evening. Please don't have a very good party weekend. Please have a study based weekend and revise. ठीक है? All right. Thank you for your time. See you on Monday.